Important. He stepped forward, trapped her between the table and himself, and whispered, "What could be more important than your business?"
Huh?
Zhang Ruai couldn't help but be stunned. Her business? What do you mean? She pushed him a few times, but he didn't move at all. It's broad daylight. If you do this again, I will shout. He Jingheng couldn't help laughing when he heard it. Shout? Shout what? Shout that I am molesting you? What else? She pointed at his arm. Aren't you just being unruly now? We are husband and wife. If we always behave properly, what does that count as?
Count.
Husband and wife in name only? He Jingheng was so angry that he laughed, and the charming atmosphere between them disappeared instantly. At this moment, He walked in. Sister-in-law, I have found another nice house. Zhang Ruai happened to be thinking about running away when she felt her wrist being grabbed by a big hand. What are you doing? He pouted. She really didn't realize that her brother was such a coward. She is just a little girl. How can she know how to buy a house? He Jingheng sneered. The biggest thing she has ever bought is the gilded jewelry box in her room. It's so tacky. Are you sure you want to see what she picked? Why don't you go and see what I picked for you?
What?
What he picked. Without waiting for Zhang Ruai to nod, He refused. Brother, why do you always talk about my shortcomings? She said angrily. Besides, the biggest thing I have ever bought is not the jewelry box you mentioned. Then tell me, what is it? He's face flushed, and she held it in for a long time before she uttered, It's the set of gilded tables and chairs. Zhang Ruai thought of the set of golden tables and chairs that she saw when she went to her room, and hurriedly said to He Jingheng, Come on, let me see what you picked. He Jingheng curled the corners of his lips and led her out of the room. He curled her lips. She didn't expect that her sister-in-law would be a person who would forget her loyalty for the sake of beauty. Her brother just smiled a few times, and she was seduced by her brother. She narrowed her eyes and followed him. He Jingheng looked at He who was clinging to Zhang Ruai like a dogskin plaster, frowned, and wished he could throw her off the carriage. Why don't you stay in the palace and run out? The palace is so boring. He hugged Zhang Ruai's arm. Where my sister-in-law goes in the future, I will go there. She shook her wrist. My sister-in-law gave it to me a few days ago. Isn't it beautiful? He Jingheng gritted his teeth. Why didn't he realize that his sister had such a bad character before? Now it seems too late to let her mother change back. The carriage drove for a long time and finally stopped in the suburbs. Where is this? He Jingheng wished he could kick He off the carriage. Opening the door, Zhang Ruai actually sensed a hint of warmth. Is there a hot spring here? She looked into the distance, and after just one glance, she was stunned. This was originally a royal horse farm. After the emperor moved the horse farm, it became abandoned, so I took it back. He Jingheng walked forward, pointed to the faintly green grass in front of him, and said softly, There is hot spring water underground. I remember you said that you need a manor with hot springs. He pointed casually. This manor is connected to the horse farm. You can raise those dairy cows in the horse farm and the pearl clams in the manor so you don't have to go back and forth every day. How about it? Zhang Ruai looked at the horse farm in front of her and couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. This is what she really wants. That's great, thank you. We are husband and wife. Why thank me? He Jingheng looked at her with a smile in his eyes. He who was standing next to him, rolled her eyes. Brother, you are really good at taking credit. My sister-in-law clearly gave this matter to me. He Jingheng ignored her. At this moment, Yunqi stepped forward and whispered, Princess, there's a letter from you. Her letter? Zhang Ruai took the letter and saw the content on it, and a smile flashed in her eyes. It turned out to be Ling Feng. I like this horse farm very much, and I'll take the manor as well. She turned to Yunqi and said, Send a few people to meet him halfway, and put all the cows here. Also, dig the manor as soon as possible in the style of the previous pool. I want everything to be completed within 10 days. Yes. Ling Feng? He Jingheng frowned slightly. He doesn't do his job as the owner of Chiyu Villa, but comes to your side to be a cowherd. If he is bored, I will find something for him to do. Zhang Ruai was stunned for a moment. Do you know his identity? I knew it as early as when he was under your command. He Jingheng's voice was slightly cold. He should be thankful that he still has self-knowledge. If he had any ill intentions, he and his manor would have no need to exist. What about the Ling family back then? I didn't get much information from my third uncle, but what I can be sure of is that they're looking for something. What thing? He Jingheng shook his head. I don't know exactly, but seeing how crazy they are, it must be an incredible treasure. Shang Ruai was shocked when she heard this. Could it be related to the sheepskin map?
Now she already has 2 copies of the map.
If they are both cut in this style, then there are 2 more copies floating outside. If they can get these 2 copies together, perhaps they can know the real secret of the map. After returning to the palace, He Jingheng was called to the study to discuss matters. Shang Ruai came to the space and looked at the Dongju clams in the pond. I don't know if it was her illusion. Why do I feel that there are more Dongju clams than before? In the past few days, she opened Dongju clams in the space when she had time. Seeing that the Dongju had filled a box, she stopped. Looking at the remaining clam shells and clam meat, she wanted to throw them away directly, but Xiaobai came over and rubbed her hand, staring at the clam meat. Why, do you want to eat? Xiaobai nodded. Not only it, but other tigers in the space also coveted the clam meat. In her previous life, she knew that the clam meat in the Dongju clam was not delicious. It had a strong fishy smell, and the meat was very hard and difficult to eat. She wanted to throw it away, but since they wanted to eat it, she would just give it to them. Xiaobai let out a howl and swallowed the clam meat into his mouth in one gulp. He squinted his eyes with great enjoyment. Shang Ruai couldn't help but find it funny. She didn't expect that tigers also liked to eat river food. Delicious? Xiaobai nodded. The tigers behind him drooled with greed, but none of them dared to step forward. Could it be that the clam meat tasted different after being soaked in the spiritual spring water? At this moment, she saw a slight glow on Xiaobai's body. The fur was even whiter. Could it be that there was really something special about this clam meat? After Xiaobai was full, he looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. Shang Rui actually felt a little frightened. This is pressure. Xiaobai walked to Shang Rui and touched her hand with his big head. I didn't expect this clam meat to have such a function. After Xiaobai finished eating, the other tigers dared to come forward. As for the wolves and lions who had just entered the space, they didn't dare to come forward at all. Shang Rui opened some more Dongju clams and distributed the clam meat to them. Like Xiaobai, all the animals that ate the clam meat had visible changes in their bodies. Before leaving the space, she took a few Dongju clams and wanted to cook a dish to try. When she came to the small kitchen, she first washed the Dongju clams with spiritual spring water, took out a knife to open the clam shells, and there was a huge Dongju in each clam shell. She put the Dongju on the table, cut the clam meat, thought about it, and took out 2 peppers from the space. It tasted good when it was fragrant and spicy. Not long after, the small kitchen was filled with fragrance, and the dark guards who were guarding in the dark couldn't help but start to swallow their saliva. What is the prince's wife doing? Why is it so fragrant? The fragrance drifted farther and farther, and even He Yuan and He Jingheng, who were discussing matters in the study, smelled it. What did the kitchen cook today? It smells so good. He Yuan smiled and said, I didn't feel anything just now, but now I'm a little hungry. At this moment, the servant came to report that the kitchen had prepared the meal. He Yuan hurriedly put down his official duties, got up and walked towards the dining room. He Jingheng wanted to go and see what was going on, but was stopped by He Yuan outside. Your mother told the kitchen to cook for me. Why are you joining in the fun? Your son just wanted to take a look. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? He Yuan glanced at him. Don't think I don't know what you were planning. The day before yesterday, your mother made snacks in the yard. You thought they were delicious, so you took them all to your wife. Yesterday, the kitchen made a braised lion's head dish, but you took it away before I even saw it. You want to repeat the same trick today. I think you have lived enough. He Jingheng heard this, touched his nose, and coughed twice a little embarrassedly. Seeing that he no longer insisted, He Yuan put his hands behind his back, hummed a little tune, and left. At this time, another fragrance came. He Jingheng looked at the direction of the wind, and his eyes lit up. He walked quickly towards his yard. At this time, Shang Ruoyi had already prepared 3 dishes and a soup, and took out a plate of strawberries from the space. He Jingheng walked closer, smelled the increasingly strong fragrance, and curled his lips slightly. "What are you doing?" Shang Ruoyi was startled by him, and suddenly looked up, with a strawberry in her mouth.
Her silly look was so cute.
He Jingheng took the half-bitten strawberry from her and put it into his mouth without thinking. Shang Ruoyi couldn't help but be stunned, and the next moment, her pretty face was slightly hot. "That's what I bit." "I know." Shang Ruoyi turned around, with a slight curl of her lips. "What are you doing that smells so good?" "They're just a few home-cooked dishes. Would you like to try them?" Shang Ruoyi said with a smile. "I wanted to take them to the front yard to eat with my grandmother and the others, but the nanny in my grandmother's yard just now said that we should eat in the small kitchens of each yard today. Then they won't have the same blessing as me." He Jingheng said with a smile. "Let me try your cooking." He just picked up the bowl and chopsticks when he heard footsteps outside the door.
"Wait."
He Yun walked in quickly, followed by Princess Ding and He Yuni. He Jingheng frowned. "Father and mother, what are you doing here?" He subconsciously blocked the dishes on the table, but he could block the sight, but not the fragrance. "Daughter-in-law, what did you cook here today?" He Yun said with a smile. "It's just a few fried dishes." He Yuni walked forward and swallowed her saliva. "Sister-in-law, what are you cooking? I can smell the fragrance in the yard." Shang Ruoyi pinched her little face and joked. "Does your nose belong to a puppy? Our yard is so far away. How did it float to your yard?" Really? He Yuni sat on the chair and urged anxiously. "Hurry up and eat. I'm hungry." "It's rude," Prince Ding said coldly. Hearing this, He Yuni hurriedly stood up. She was a little too proud of herself. Seeing the delicious food, she completely forgot about her father and mother. He Yun stepped forward, sat on the chair, and said lightly, "When can we eat?" He Yuni was exhausted. He dared to say that she was rude, but now she asked for food. "Didn't father say that he would have dinner in mother's courtyard?" "I just wanted to take a look, but why are you here now?" He Jingheng smiled. "We don't have the food that father is looking for here. Father, you should go back." He Yun knew that his son was a vengeful person. If it were in the past, he would definitely turn around and leave. But now, with delicious food in front of him, he swallowed his saliva and didn't say anything. He thought that the fragrance came from their courtyard, but halfway through, he realized that something was wrong. The fragrance of the food was getting fainter and fainter. Sure enough, when he arrived in the courtyard, the fragrance was already very faint. He looked at the food on the table and lost his appetite. He knew that he was tricked by that stinky boy, but he couldn't get angry. "What is this?" He pointed to the plate of strawberries. He had never eaten this kind of fruit. He Yuni and Qin were very familiar with strawberries. They ate them almost every day in the exile area before. They thought they couldn't eat them after returning to the capital, but they didn't expect to see them here today. "Father, this is strawberry, a kind of fruit which tastes extremely sweet." "Strawberry? It's really unheard of." Just as he was about to pick up one and put it in his mouth, he was stopped by a hand. "Father, this strawberry is extremely precious. Have you thought of what to exchange it for?" He Yun took out a piece of paper from his arms and threw it at He Jingheng. "Take it. I know you have no good intentions." He took a bite of clam meat and put it in his mouth. The fresh and spicy clam meat instantly awakened his taste buds. Pointing at He Jingheng, he said, "It's a loss for me to exchange this table of dishes for such a big house."
House.
Don't listen to your father's nonsense. He has long agreed to let you live in a separate mansion, and the house has been cleaned up early in the morning. Qin waved her hand, and the servants took out a few dishes and put them on the table. "These are made by the chef in my courtyard. Your father insisted on coming to your place to eat, so I had to bring them here. That house was given by the late emperor after I won my first battle. You married into our house, and I was unable to attend. This is a wedding gift for you." Shang Ruoyi was confused. "What house? What about a separate residence?" He Jingheng smiled and said, "Father is distressed by a house. He is really getting more and more stingy. He Yuan glanced at him and ate by himself. It must be said that Shang Rui's cooking skills are really first class. The dishes she cooked were eaten up, and the dishes brought by Princess Ding were hardly touched. Sister-in-law, what is this dish? He Yuni pointed at the plate of spicy stir-fried clams. It's 100 times more delicious than the ones made by the imperial chefs in the palace. It's just some clam meat, not something expensive. Shang Rui smiled and said, if you like it, I'll make it for you another day. He Yuni took her hand. Sister-in-law, my brother said he wants to live in a separate house, and you'll have to move out in a while, so why don't I move out with you? As soon as she finished speaking, He Jingheng stretched out his hand and pulled Shang Rui to his side. What are you, an unmarried girl, doing here? But what but? He Jingheng waved his hand. We've finished eating and talking, let's go. Mother. He Yuni pouted and said angrily, look at my brother. They were having a great time here, and a figure outside the door slowly left. That night, news came from the palace that tomorrow morning would be the day for the ladies of the court to come to the palace for an audience. Princess Zhan and Shang Rui would both attend. The next day, Shang Rui got up early and began to dress up, changing into the clothes of ladies of the court. When it was time for the audience, Princess Ding took Shang Rui into the palace. She had entered the palace as Prince Lingjun some time ago, and it had not been too long, so she was still very familiar with the layout of the palace. Boy, this is your first time to enter the palace, don't worry, just follow your mother. Princess Ding smiled and said, the queen has some connections with our palace, so she won't make things difficult for you. As for the other ladies in the palace, we only need to go to see Concubine Zhao and Concubine Shu. Shang Rui nodded. Wouldn't the queen make things difficult for her? Not necessarily. I still remember what the queen said when I was detoxifying her. It was obvious that she was not satisfied with her identity as a concubine. When they arrived, the queen was still having dinner, so they could only wait in the side hall. At this time, several ladies of honor had arrived in the side hall and were chatting. In my opinion, the Shang family has brought this upon themselves. They have done such a shameless thing, so they should be executed and their entire clan should be exterminated. The emperor is merciful. He only demoted the women of the Shang family to official maids. I heard that the eldest daughter of the Shang family, Shang Yufu, was the one the emperor granted marriage to. In the end, she was assigned to the prince's mansion, but this time she was not the prince's concubine, but a maid. Could it be because of her beauty? The prince thought it would be a pity if she was not taken into the mansion. Oh, she was just a toy for people's entertainment. Now the Shang family is completely ruined, but the concubine who was married to the Dingwa palace before is really lucky. Not only was she not implicated, but now she has become a phoenix on the tree. What phoenix? Is it a chicken or a phoenix? You better open your eyes and don't speak carelessly to offend people you shouldn't offend. The person who said this was Madame Mu, the wife of the right prime minister, who was humiliated in the Dingwang palace a few days ago. Upon hearing this, the ladies hurriedly surrounded her. Madame Mu, do you know the inside story? I heard that the Prince of Dingwang is very fond of this prince's wife. Oh, she is just a concubine's daughter. Now that she is in power, she has forgotten her origins and who she is. She will eventually be despised for serving others with her beauty. When the prince is tired of it, there is no other way for her to go except being divorced. Will it? A lady said, the Dingwang Palace is not the kind of family that would care about the secular perspective. If they don't like it, how can there be those rumors? I think this prince's wife must be very favored. At this moment, a low cough came from the door. Everyone looked over and saw Princess Ding standing at the door with an expressionless face. Next to her stood an extremely beautiful woman. From the clothes she wore, one could guess her identity. Hiss. They all heard that she was outstanding and extremely beautiful, but very few people had actually seen her. How could they have imagined that a concubine who was rumored to be so bad would be so beautiful? Your Highness, I pay my respects to the princess and to the crown prince's consort. Although they were women of noble birth, their status could not be compared with that of the royal family, so they hurried forward to pay their respects. Get up. Princess Ding sat on the chair and said in a cold voice, "This princess has only been away from the capital for a few days, and so many rumors have arisen. You are really idle. Your servants are just chatting casually." Shang Rui smiled. "Mother, this lady of the Mu family was driven out of our palace some time ago. I guess she has not learned her lesson. She doesn't take your words to heart at all." Madame Mu's shoulders shrank when she heard this. "Princess, I only heard it from others. Don't take it seriously." Madame Mu was sweating profusely, her voice trembling slightly. "Please have mercy, madam." Princess Ding glanced at her. "I said at that time that if I heard you slander Roy again, I would never forgive you. Madam, have mercy. Madam, have mercy." Madame Mu knelt on the ground, trembling. "I will never dare to do it again." Princess Ding did not want to forgive, and was about to punish her when she heard the palace servants come to report. "The queen asks all the ladies to go to Fingyi Palace." Madame Mu took a breath, rolled, and crawled to her feet, and walked towards Fingyi Palace. At this time, the queen had finished dressing and sat on the phoenix chair, looking at the ladies who came to pay homage to her with indifference. "Your Majesty, I respectfully wish you the best of health. Stand up and take a seat." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Just as they sat down, they heard the palace servant say, "Your Majesty, Princess Xiao is here." The queen frowned slightly. It has always been the case that ladies of honor entered the palace in advance and came in to pay their respects when the auspicious time came. Now that the time for paying respects has passed, Princess Xiao is late. This clearly shows that she does not take the queen seriously, which is actually very disrespectful.
Call her in.
Yes. Not long after, Princess Xiao walked in. "Greetings to Her Majesty the Queen. May Her Majesty live long." Princess Xiao said with a smile, "Your Majesty has just finished her confinement, and she has summoned the ladies of honor. Can you bear it?" The queen said indifferently, "Thank you for your concern, Princess Xiao. I am fine." "That's good." Princess Xiao sat down directly. Her eyes fell on Princess Ding and Shang Rui. "Oh, who am I? Isn't this Princess Ding? The one next to her is the Crown Prince's consort?" Shang Rui stood up and leaned forward slightly. "Greetings, Princess Xiao." "Oh, you are so beautiful. There is such a beautiful girl in this world. No wonder Jingheng is so obsessed with her." Obsessed? Where did this word come from? When did she become obsessed with He Jingheng? Why do you say that, Princess Xiao? Princess Ding frowned slightly. "It's obvious that they are a loving couple. How can you say that Jingheng is a man who covets beauty?" Princess Xiao didn't expect Princess Ding to be so sharp. After all, Princess Ding's personality was relatively soft before, and she would not turn her face even if she was ridiculed. Unexpectedly, she directly refuted it today. Not only her, but even the queen was a little surprised. "What do you mean by coveting beauty?"
I didn't say that.
Princess Xiao snorted coldly. "I just heard that Jingheng spent a lot of money to buy a piece of land in order to make a beauty smile. Now your Dinghua Palace has just returned to Beijing. I heard that everything in the warehouse has disappeared. It is extremely difficult to make a living, let alone buy land. I advise you to be more careful. After all, people's hearts are separated by their stomachs. It's better not to end up with nothing." After hearing what Princess Xiao said, the other ladies began to laugh. Everyone knows that Prince Xiao is on good terms with the Crown Prince. Now that the Crown Prince is in power, Prince Xiao's status naturally rises with him. Princess Xiao is very popular in front of many ladies, and now she even ignores the queen and is very flattering to Concubine Zhao. Concubine Zhao is the Crown Prince's biological mother. When the Crown Prince inherits the throne, Concubine Zhao will be the queen mother who truly holds power. Naturally, she is more honorable than the queen in everyone's hearts. "Princess Xiao, when is it your turn to comment on the affairs of my Dinghua Palace?" Princess Ding sneered. "Your Xiao Palace is poor and destitute, relying on the prince's breath to survive. How can you understand how people with military merits live?" "You?" Princess Xiao said angrily. "Qin, who do you say relies on the prince's breath? How dare you humiliate me? It was the Emperor's grace that pardoned you. Isn't your Dinghua Palace relying on the few soldiers in your hands? You are so arrogant. Could it be that you have some rebellious heart? At this time, Shang Ruoyi stood up, saluted the queen first, and then walked to Princess Xiao. Princess Xiao had a cold face and raised her chin slightly. What are you doing? You are a concubine's daughter. You can come here today. It's all ready. Before she finished speaking, Shang Ruoyi raised her hand. Pa. As the sound fell, Princess Xiao's face was hit to the side, and her body fell to the ground. Everyone was shocked. No one expected that she would be so bold as to slap Princess Xiao in front of the queen and all the ladies.
You.
Princess Xiao covered her face and said angrily, You little witch. You dare to hit me. I'll hit you if I want to. Do I have to choose a day? Besides, didn't Princess Xiao choose this day herself? Shang Ruoyi looked down at her and said coldly, Didn't Princess Xiao deliberately choose this day when the ladies came to the palace to pay homage? If she was really worried, why didn't Princess Xiao come to visit after so many days since the Dingwa Palace returned to Beijing? Didn't she want to embarrass us on this day? Do you think our Dingwa Palace is easy to bully? Can anyone step on us? Shang Ruoyi's eyes fell on the other ladies, and they all bowed their heads and said nothing. The queen looked at her with interest with a hint of smile in her eyes. Princess Xiao stood up, her eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Beating the princess is really disrespectful. She should be executed. She knelt directly in front of the queen. Your Majesty, she is a junior who actually did such a perverse act in front of you. It is clear that she does not take you seriously. You must punish her severely. Hearing this, the queen's eyes fell on Shang Ruoyi. Prince Consort Ding, did you hear what Princess Xiao said? Your Majesty, I heard it. The queen smiled. Do you have anything to say? I think what Princess Xiao said is unreasonable, and I should not be punished. Shang Ruoyi said neither humbly nor arrogantly, as if it should be so. What? You shouldn't be punished? Princess Xiao pointed at her. If you shouldn't be punished, then is it Princess Ben who should be punished?
Exactly. You.
Shang Ruoyi's face was cold, and she said in a deep voice, Princess Xiao said that I didn't take the queen seriously, which was very disrespectful. What about Princess Xiao? You were late on the day of worship, and you respected the queen? After you sat down, you began to make sarcastic remarks about our Dingwa Palace and slandered us for having a rebellious heart. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? How dare you say such gossip about our Dingwa Palace? She looked at the queen. Please ask the queen to make the decision for our Dingwa Palace. Princess Xiao didn't expect that she would be such an eloquent person, and she was so angry that she trembled all over. You are just a concubine's daughter. Your father did such a shameful thing, and you still have the face to go out. If I were you, I would divorce my wife, shave my head, and become a nun in the temple, always accompanied by green lamps and ancient Buddhas to atone for my sins. How could I be like you now, coaxing the prince to spend money on you? You are really shameless. The prince and I are husband and wife. What does it have to do with Princess Xiao whether he spends money on me or how much money he spends? Could it be that because Prince Xiao has no money and cannot buy things for Princess Xiao, Princess Xiao feels resentful when she sees that she is living better than her? Shang Ruoyi sneered. Also, I am a concubine's daughter. But so what? I am the prince's consort appointed by the emperor himself. Could it be that Princess Xiao has complaints about this? I didn't expect that Princess Xiao would dare to question the emperor's decision. Princess Xiao's face was pale. How could she have thought that Shang Ruoyi was such an eloquent person? The queen smiled even more when she heard this. This little girl was just what she wanted. She didn't have a son, otherwise she would have made her daughter-in-law. Princess Xiao's face turned pale, but she couldn't get angry. Okay. The queen had seen enough of the excitement and said calmly, Princess Xiao, the Dingwa Palace has just returned to Beijing, which is a great joy. Why are you stirring up trouble here? If there is really a grudge, you can go to the emperor and tell him. Hearing what the queen said, Princess Xiao was dissatisfied, but she could do nothing. I know my crime. Get up. The queen's eyes fell on Shang Ruoyi. You are just too impatient, but you can't sit still after being told a few words by your elders? You even hit people. Princess Xiao looked at her coldly. waiting for the queen to punish her severely. Even if you are right, you can't do such a thing in front of me. The implication was that as long as it wasn't in front of her, she would be beaten. Everyone present was a smart person. How could they not hear the queen's hidden meaning? But who dared to say anything bad about the queen? Princess Zhao's face turned purple, and she put her hands on the handles, trying her best to suppress her anger. I will follow the queen's instructions. Get up. Shang Ruai returned to her chair and sat down. Princess Ding gave her a comforting look, indicating that she didn't have to worry. I have just finished my confinement. If it weren't for the ancestral practice, I really don't want you ladies to go through this. She pressed her eyebrows and whispered, now that you have paid your respects, you can go back. You still have to pay your respects to the 2 imperial concubines. After the queen finished speaking, Princess Xiao was the first to stand up. She paid a perfunctory salute and turned away. Prince Ding's consort. Your Majesty, after you have paid your respects to the various palaces, come back to me, and I will explain the palace's rules to you. Yes, Your Majesty. How could other ladies dare to be so disrespectful to the queen as Princess shouted? They all knelt on the ground and did not dare to stand up until the queen returned to the inner hall. They first came to noble consort Shu. Noble consort Shu was the birth mother of the 4th prince, but compared to noble consort Zhao, her status in everyone's heart was too far behind. After all, noble consort Zhao was the birth mother of the crown prince. Although the 4th prince was conferred the title of prince, compared to the monarch, everyone could naturally tell which was more important. Noble consort Shu did not intend to say more to them. After paying their respects, she let them go. What's the point of concubine Shu being named a noble concubine at this age? How is it useless? There is a difference between a concubine and a noble concubine. Madame Mu smiled and said, now we have to kneel down and kowtow to her when we see her. Humph, she just relied on the fact that she gave birth to a son and was named a prince. The emperor promoted her to a noble concubine to save face for the 4th prince. Look at how arrogant she is when she met him today. Princess Xiao sneered. If you don't know, you would think she is the prince's biological mother. Shang Ruai listened to the whispers of these ladies and rolled her eyes secretly. Are these ladies short of life, or what? If they openly discuss concubines and are heard by others and spread to the ears of the emperor, it would be considered as insubordination, and the serious case would be death. Mother, you'll get used to it. Princess Ding glanced at them and said disdainfully, this is why Mother doesn't want to associate with people, a bunch of mean people who are used to changing their attitudes according to the wind. As they spoke, everyone had already arrived at Lanqing Palace. When they met concubine Zhao, their attitude was even more respectful than when they met the queen. My lady concubine, you look much more beautiful than before you got pregnant. Princess Xiao smiled and said, the little prince in your belly will definitely be a filial one. Concubine Zhao smiled a little more and put her hand on her belly. Thank you, Princess Xiao, for your good words. She looked at Shang Ruai, who was sitting beside her. This one must be the Princess of Ding. Shang Ruai stood up and bowed. Greetings, Lady Concubine. Concubine Zhao picked up the tea and took a sip. She didn't ask her to stand up, but turned around and talked to Princess Xiao. Princess Zhao's prince is already old. Has he married yet? Thanks to the imperial concubine for your concern. He Qing hasn't even proposed marriage yet. Princess Xiao said with a smile. Does the imperial concubine have any candidate? Imperial concubine Zhao has a niece, the daughter of the Marquis of Loyalty and Bravery, who is still unmarried. Princess Xiao intends to marry her back, but the Zhao family doesn't seem to have any plans to marry into their Xiao palace. Now, the position of the crown prince's wife is vacant, and what the Zhao family really wants is the position of the crown princess, and the position of the queen in the future. What can I choose? Imperial concubine Zhao said with a smile. It's still most important that the prince likes her. The two chatted and deliberately left Shang Ruai aside. The other ladies looked like they were watching a good show. A cold look flashed across Shang Ruai's eyes, and at this moment, the voice of Princess Ding, who was sitting in the main seat, came. Imperial concubine, have you forgotten that my daughter-in-law is still kneeling on the ground? Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that Princess Ding would dare to interrupt imperial concubine Zhao directly. Princess Ding, how dare you disrespect concubine Zhao? Princess Xiao said in a cold voice. Just because you have military merits in Dingwa Palace, you can do whatever you want? Princess Xiao, the royal concubine, hasn't spoken yet. Why are you butting in? Princess Ding said in a cold voice. I was too weak before, so you think I'm easy to bully, right? Her eyes fell on concubine Zhao. Your Majesty summoned the Crown Prince's concubine from our Dingwa Palace for questioning and ignored her after the greetings. Was she deliberately torturing her? Or did she want to embarrass our Dingwa Palace? Everyone didn't expect her to speak so bluntly, and there was no doubt that she didn't give concubine Zhao any face. Princess Ding, you are so disrespectful. Princess Xiao stood up and said coldly, how dare you speak to the imperial concubine like that? Just then, Inuch stepped forward and said loudly, is Princess Ding here? Your Majesty is here. The Emperor has ordered Princess Ding to come to the audience. Please go to the Yangxin Palace immediately to see him. The Emperor wants to see me? Yes, Princess. The Prince is here too. The Emperor asks you to go immediately. Princess Ding nodded, turned to Shang Ruai and said, Ruai, follow your mother to the Yangxin Palace. Princess, the Emperor said that he only lets you go and has not summoned the Crown Prince's concubine. Princess Ding frowned and instantly understood the Emperor's intention. He clearly wanted Ruai to suffer in the imperial concubine Zhao's palace on purpose. Princess, you'd better hurry up. The Inuch's sharp voice sounded again. Don't leave any handle for others to talk about. Princess Ding was anxious. At this moment, she received a look from Shang Ruai that reassured her. Although she felt uneasy, she still left. Concubine Zhao looked at Shang Ruai kneeling on the ground, and a trace of coldness flashed across her eyes. She was really a rare beauty. No wonder her son had been thinking about her for so many years. If she was the prince's person, she would definitely cherish her, but she happened to be the prince's consort of the Dingwa Palace, so don't blame her men for being ruthless. Princess Xiao sneered. It was really that God was helping her. She had just slapped herself in front of everyone, and now she must avenge this vengeance. Your mother is gone, so you should take the punishment for disrespect. Princess Xiao had just finished speaking when Shang Ruai, who had been half kneeling on the ground, slowly stood up. In the surprised eyes of everyone, she returned to her seat and sat down. She picked up the teacup next to her, smelled it, and put it back. Although the tea here is fragrant, it doesn't seem to be new tea. It seems to be last year's stale tea. You're so bold. The concubine hasn't asked you to stand up yet, but you dare to stand up on your own. Princess Xiao said angrily. She has no manners or upbringing at all. Princess Xiao, the Crown Prince's wife, is a concubine's daughter, and her mother died early. Who would educate her? Madame Mu smiled and said, if she hadn't married into the Dingwa Palace, how could she be qualified to sit with us? Madame Mu saw that Princess Ding was not there, so she hurriedly followed and stepped on her. Anyway, they had already torn their relations, and her daughter would not be able to marry into the Ding Palace. She might as well curry favor with concubine Zhao or Princess Xiao. Maybe she could marry her daughter into the prince's palace as a concubine, or let Princess Xiao be the Crown Prince's concubine. What's wrong with being a concubine? Shang Ruai sneered. Madame Mu is a legitimate daughter, and your daughter is also a legitimate daughter. Don't you still have to bow when you see me? You! Madame Mu, I advise you to control your mouth, otherwise I don't mind helping you control it. You dare to threaten the women of the court? You are just the wife of the right prime minister. In this launching palace, how can you have the right to speak in front of the imperial concubine? Shang Ruai said sarcastically. Besides, I'm not threatening you. I'm just telling you to control your mouth and don't provoke me. Everyone didn't expect that now that Princess Ding was not there, she would still dare to be so arrogant. Prince Consort Ding, have you gone too far today? Consort Zhao touched her belly. If you mess with me and disturb my fetus, do you think your life is worth it? That's right. If you disturb the dragon fetus, the Emperor will chop off your head. Consort Xiao said viciously, in my opinion, Prince Ding's consort is disrespectful to the imperial consort. She should be dragged out and beaten severely by the palace servants. Only in this way can she learn her lesson. Princess Xiao, is it you who makes the decision about launching palace or the imperial consort? Shang Rui glanced at her and said lightly, "This is my first time to pay homage. The queen and imperial consort Xu didn't make it difficult for me, but I was beaten with a stick when it came to consort Zhao. Princess Xiao, do you think it's my problem or the imperial consort's problem? How dare you slander the imperial consort?" Consort Xiao slammed the table hard and said angrily, "What crime should be committed? Could it be that your Dinghua palace really wants to rely on your military exploits to bully others in this palace?" Shang Rui smiled, raised her chin slightly, and calmly met the angry eyes of Princess Xiao, and said faintly, "Since you know that our Dinghua palace has made great military exploits, why do you still want to go against me?" Hiss. No one thought that she would say this. You, the Xiao palace, have done nothing for the country and are useless to the people. You just rely on your birth and blood to enjoy the support of the world. To put it nicely, you will be reincarnated. To put it bluntly, you are just a waste who only knows how to blood like a leech. Shang Rui looked at the ladies below. "I don't know which family or which mansion you are from, and I don't care. But there is one thing I want to make clear first. I have no one to discipline me since I was a child, and I have a very bad personality. I am not like other ladies who can be squeezed and twisted by others. If you provoke me, I will not say anything to show mercy. I only know to repay evil with kindness." "How can I repay kindness?" Her eyes were sharp, and none of the ladies below dared to look at her. Princess Zhao's face turned pale and blue. She never expected that she would be scolded by a junior like this. You are really uneducated." In front of the imperial concubine. "I am uneducated? Who is uneducated, you or me?" Shang Rui smashed the teacup on the table, and the tea splashed all over the table. "I know to tell you the truth. If you don't like it, just don't listen. There is no need to talk about the imperial concubine all day long. I have been here for so long and said so much, but the imperial concubine hasn't said anything yet. You're here to make trouble. If you don't know, you will think that the master of this palace is you, Princess Xiao. We, the Dinghua Palace, have always spoken with military merits and never work like it for others." "Okay," Concubine Zhao said coldly. "What are you arguing about? It's giving me a headache." She stroked her forehead and said coldly, "You, a junior, are so disrespectful to your elders. Is this your rule? My lady, I like to speak my mind directly. I don't like to keep my words to myself. The Emperor and His Majesty called my mother away, no doubt to show my power." Shang Rui sneered, "But I am not afraid of others playing such tricks on me. The reason why our Dinghua Palace can come back alive from the place of exile is probably not only due to the Emperor's grace. I believe that my lady knows this better than me." Concubine Zhao's face was livid. She never expected that she would dare to contradict herself. "Do you know what you are saying?" Shang Rui smiled. "Of course I know what I am saying. Where is my lady?" "Someone." Concubine Zhao slapped the table in front of her fiercely and said angrily, "Catch her. Beat her with 30 sticks." Several guards stepped forward and were about to drag her away, but she saw her eyes turned cold and her internal force burst out. Before the guards could get close to her, they were overturned by the powerful internal force. "Protect the Emperor. Protect the Emperor. Protect the imperial concubine." Shang Rui sat there, looking surprised, and said, "What are you doing? Why are you lying on the ground? You know martial arts?" Imperial concubine Zhao was still in shock. "You want to murder me? My lady imperial concubine, if I wanted to harm you, you wouldn't be sitting on the throne of imperial concubine right now." She stood up, glanced at everyone, and said in a cold voice, "I don't care how you bullied my mother in the past, and I don't care how you arranged the Dinghua Palace. After all, it is a thing of the past. But from now on, if you throw dirty water on the Dinghua Palace again and bully our people in the Dinghua Palace, don't blame me for being rude." "How outrageous! How outrageous! My lady imperial concubine, this is my character. If you don't want to upset the fetus, try not to summon me again. Otherwise, If the child in your belly is born too early, it will be difficult for you to explain to the emperor. What? How could she? Concubine Zhao looked at her in shock, her heart pounding. You dare to curse the concubine. As soon as Princess Zhao finished speaking, she heard Concubine Zhao say coldly, "Shut up." She looked at Shang Ruoyi and narrowed her eyes. I don't understand what you mean, but considering that you have just returned to Beijing and have not learned many rules, I will not pursue today's matter. You can go back. I'll take my leave. Shang Ruoyi smiled and turned to leave. Your Majesty, how could you let her go? Princess Xiao said anxiously, if you want to deal with her in the future, I'm afraid there will be no such good opportunity. Concubine Zhao looked at her back as she left, and she couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. How did she know without taking her pulse? And when she was pregnant, the Dingwang Palace was still far away in the place of exile. How did she know? Could it be that there are spies from the Dingwang Palace in Launching Palace? Bishi, who had been beside her, noticed her mood swings and hurriedly said, Are you feeling uncomfortable, madam? I am tired today. You all should go back. Princess Xiao was unwilling, but since Concubine Zhao said so, she could only give up. Shang Ruoyi came to Fingyi Palace, where the queen was teasing the little princess. Here I am, she said softly without looking back. I thought you were an honest person, but I didn't expect you to be so eloquent. Even Concubine Zhao and Princess Xiao, with all the ladies, are not your opponents. Shang Ruoyi raised her eyebrows slightly. The news spread so quickly. It seems that the queen may seem weak, but in fact, she has spies all over the harem. She looked at the slender figure. Perhaps, not only in the harem. I am only good at speaking, but they are all just clever tricks, not worth telling to outsiders. Clever tricks? The queen couldn't help laughing. Openly using internal force and launching palace. Is this clever tricks? Brute force. The queen looked at her and raised her eyebrows slightly. Cunning tricks plus brute force. I like it. At this moment, the little princess in her arms suddenly cried out. The queen held the little princess and coaxed her for a long time, but there was no improvement. She looked at Shang Ruoyi and said anxiously, Don't you know medical skills? Come and take a look. What's wrong with the princess? Shang Ruoyi stepped forward quickly, checked for a while, and couldn't help frowning. The princess has been crying frequently since a few days ago. Sometimes she can cry for hours. The nanny said with some distress, The imperial physician has visited her several times, but there is no improvement. Shang Ruoyi examined for a long time. Her heart skipped a beat, and she said coldly, What a cruel method.
What?
There is a silver needle in the princess's body. Silver needle? How is it possible? The queen stepped forward quickly and grabbed Shang Ruoyi's hand. How could there be a silver needle in her body? Shang Ruoyi shook her head. This silver needle originally wanted to kill her, but by chance, the silver needle did not the vital point, but was buried in her arm. Every time she moved, the silver needle would roll with her movements, and it was very painful. The queen heard this, and her face changed suddenly. Can this silver needle be taken out? Shang Ruoyi nodded and took out a dagger and a porcelain bottle from her arms. Your Majesty, I need to cut a wound on the princess's arm and then take out the silver needle, but it won't be too painful. The queen's heart was gripped tightly. How could it not hurt to cut open the skin to take out the silver needle? But there was no other way at the moment. The princess is in your hands. Shang Ruoyi stepped forward and held the princess's chubby little hand. The pure energy in her body flowed into her body through her hand. The little princess yawned and fell into a deep sleep. She looked at her arm, where a silver needle as long as a finger was buried in her little arm. She cut a very small wound, and the energy in her palm gathered towards the silver needle. The silver needle swayed slightly, and the next moment, it was thrown out by a huge energy and inserted into a pillar not far away. There was a drop of blood at the end of the needle, and it fell to the ground. Shang Ruoyi quickly dripped the spiritual spring water in the porcelain bottle onto the wound. In an instant, the wound that was still bleeding stopped bleeding, and there were faint signs of healing. My queen, look. The nanny took the silver needle and said, "This silver needle doesn't seem to have anything special. Someone actually wants to assassinate the princess. Check for me. I will never let him go." She looked at Shang Ruai, and her tone was much better. "Thank you today. Otherwise I wouldn't know that the princess is in such danger. It's just a piece of cake." At this time, the palace servant came to report, "My queen, the Prince of Dingwang is here." That stinky boy, he didn't say he came to see me after returning to Beijing for so long. Now he is so anxious just because I called his wife over. The queen smiled and said, "Forget it. I have to accompany the princess today. You can go back with him. I'll take my leave." Shang Ruai walked out of Fingy Palace and saw He Jingheng standing not far away. "Aren't you in a meeting in front? Why are you here?" "I heard about your great deeds in Lanqing Palace, so naturally your husband has to come and take you back in person." When he heard that she had used her inner strength in Lanqing Palace, he knew that she had been wronged. He wanted to go to Lanqing Palace to settle the score, but he heard from the servants that the crown prince's concubine almost gave birth prematurely because of concubine Zhao. As soon as the crown prince's concubine left, concubine Zhao dismissed the ladies who came to the palace to pay homage and called the imperial physician. He had already taken a step forward and then retracted it again. Only his wife could make concubine Zhao so angry. "She indulged Princess Zhao to bully me, so of course I have to let her know how powerful I am. Did she think I was a soft persimmon that could be bullied at will?" Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips slightly. She had not gained nothing by going there today. It seemed that she had mastered concubine Zhao's extraordinary secret. At this time, in Lanqing Palace, concubine Zhao was looking at the imperial physician with a stern face. "How long can my pregnancy last at the latest?" "Your Majesty, the baby in your belly can only last 2 months at most. You can't delay it any longer, otherwise the baby will be difficult to deliver and you may be in danger of losing your life." 2 months. Can't delay it any longer? "Your Majesty, the baby in your belly is strong. If you delay it any longer, it will definitely be difficult to deliver. You can't wait any longer." "I understand." She waved her hand, and the imperial physician retreated. "Your Majesty." Bishi stepped forward and said softly, "Your Majesty, what the imperial physician said concerns your health, so let's listen to him." Concubine Zhao nodded, touched the child in her belly, and said sadly, "This child and I are only destined to have this few days. When he is born, he will be taken away, and I can't bear to let him go. Your Majesty, for the sake of the overall situation, you don't worry. I know what's going on." Since the imperial physician said there are only 2 months, notify them and make preparations in advance. "Yes, Your Majesty." Bishi hesitated for a moment and whispered, "As for the prince, you should know what to say and what not to say to the prince." Concubine Zhao fiddled with the flowers on the table. "Find him something to do during this period, and don't let him get close to the little concubine of the Shang family."
Yes.
Shang Ruai and He Jingheng walked towards the palace gate. Just as they were about to leave the palace, He Lingxing appeared at the gate. "Jingheng, long time no see." He Lingxing had a smile on his face, and his eyes fell vaguely on Shang Ruai beside him. He Jingheng stepped forward and blocked Shang Ruai's figure behind him. "Your Highness the Crown Prince." This must be the Crown Prince's consort. Shang Ruai looked at him with contempt in her eyes, the despicable man who had fooled her with a fake medical book. She saluted perfunctorily. "Greetings to the Crown Prince." He Lingxing frowned. Why did she treat him like this? It was obviously not like this before. He was anxious, and just as he moved, he heard He Jingheng say, "Is there anything the prince needs?" He Lingxing paused, thought for a moment, and said nothing. "I had some things to do a few days ago, and I was unable to meet you when you returned to Beijing. Today, I want to bother you at your house. Is that okay?" He Jingheng naturally could not refuse. When they arrived at the Dingwang Palace, the Dingwang and the princess had already returned to the palace, and the princess was angrily complaining in the main hall. "Did Princess Xiao get bitten by a dog? I think she has mad dog disease. Today, she kept biting our Dingwang Palace with the Queen Mother and concubine Zhao. After I was called away by the emperor, I don't know if she was wronged by concubine Zhao." Princess Ding said angrily. She is a princess of an idle prince, but she was shouting there. If she wasn't restrained, I really wanted to kick her out. Well, didn't you say that Ruai didn't suffer any loss? Prince Ding laughed and said, the person who can make her suffer a loss has not been born in this world. Even I may not be her opponent. What do you have to worry about? How can I not worry? It's all your fault. Prince Ding looked confused. What does this have to do with me? If it weren't for you, who could target our Prince Ding's palace? It's because you are too weak, and you care about the difference between the monarch and his subjects, and the elderly and the young all day long. That's why we, the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, are bullied in the palace. Since I married you, you asked me to be low-key and never rely on the status of a princess to be arrogant and domineering. As a result, I have suffered a lot of grievances in the palace. Every time I have to meet the court, I have to listen to other people's cold words and ridicule. Obviously, as a princess, I live worse than the wives of ordinary ministers. Now you want me to take Ruai to be bullied together. I can't do that. She stood up and said to the maid outside the door, bring your outer robe. This princess wants to go into the palace. Prince Ding looked at his princess with a headache. Ever since she had more contact with Shang Ruai, her temperament has changed a lot from before. What are you doing in the palace now? Of course, I want to ask the emperor to make the decision. At this moment, He Lingxing's laughter came from the door. What does Princess Ding want my father to decide? I will go back to the palace and talk to my father, and I will definitely give the princess justice. He Yuan and Qin saw He Lingxing coming and hurriedly greeted him. Your Highness, the Crown Prince. No need to be polite. He Lingxing walked to the main seat and sat down, laughing and said, Princess, you haven't told me what you want to ask your father for? Your Highness, it's nothing serious. I just want to ask the Emperor how our Dingwa Palace offended the Xiao Palace, and Princess Xiao doesn't even take us seriously. He Lingxing's expression did not change. He smiled and said, I will report to my father when I return. I will not let you suffer any grievances. Princess Ding came to Shang Ruai and whispered, Have you been wrong today? Don't worry, mother. I haven't suffered any grievances. Shang Ruai smiled and said, But I'm afraid that it will upset Princess Xiao and concubine Zhao. Princess Ding snorted coldly. Princess Xiao, you don't have to care about it, but concubine Zhao. She looked at He Lingxing. The concubine is broad-minded and will not bother with a junior like you.
My daughter-in-law thinks so too.
He Lingxing raised his eyebrows slightly, and his eyes looked at Shang Ruai with a bit of inquiry. She was completely different from before. Prince? He Yuan called him a few times before He Lingxing came back to his senses. Realizing his own loss of composure, he coughed a few times. I suddenly remembered that I still have some things to deal with, so I won't stay for long. After that, he left. He Jingheng's eyes flickered. Back at the prince's mansion, He Lingxing's face was as gloomy as water, and he whispered, Li Ju, I'm here. Was it wrong for me to agree to let her marry into the Prince Ding's mansion? Your Highness is considering the overall situation. The overall situation. He Lingxing smiled coldly. For the overall situation, I have lost too many things. Li Ju said nothing. He had been by the prince's side since he was a child. In all these years, this was the second time he felt His Highness's emotions like this. The first time was the day when Miss Zishang married the Prince of Ding. His Highness sat on the chair like this and didn't sleep all night. Your Highness, when you achieve hegemony, everything will be worth it.
Go down.
He came to the table and took out a wooden hairpin from the cabinet. It fell from her head on the day he first met her. He would never forget her resolute eyes in despair. This might be the only motivation that supported him until now. But today, the way she looked at him was even colder than when she looked at a stranger. Did she forget him? Or was she blaming herself, blaming him for not protecting her well, letting her be exiled with the Dingwa Palace and suffer so much? I will never let you go just like that. At this moment, the voice of a servant came from outside the door. Prince. He Lingxing frowned slightly and whispered, Come in. A person dressed in a maid's clothes walked in. Prince, the sweet soup is ready. Put it on the table. She took the sweet soup off the tray. Because the sweet soup was too hot, her hand slipped and she almost spilled the sweet soup on the table. You have done it so many times. Why can't you do it well? He Lingxing said lightly. I think it's because you have never served others before, and you are served by others every day, so you can't do it well. Prince, I will learn it well. He Lingxing whispered. I never thought that one day I would ask you to serve me in person. The maid was none other than Shang Yufu, the legitimate daughter of the Shang family. It is my honor to serve His Highness. She lowered her head. Her eyes fell on a hairpin on the table, and her eyes could not help but pause. How could Shang Ruai's hairpin be in the room of His Highness the Crown Prince? He Lingxing saw her stunned expression and whispered, Do you know the owner of this hairpin? Shang Yufu was stunned and hesitated for a long time. She wanted to say that she didn't know him, but when she looked up and saw the interest in He Lingxing's eyes, she whispered, Your Highness, this hairpin looks familiar to me. It seems to belong to my second sister. Your memory is pretty good. He picked up the hairpin, looked at it again, and then put it back in the cabinet. Shang Yufu was shocked. The reason why she remembered this hairpin was because the plum blossom engraved on it was the favorite thing of Aunt Wei. Since the collapse of the Wei family, the mother and daughter have never given money. The hairpins that Shang Ruai wore on her head were all made of wood by Aunt Wei. She had laughed at her for this before. In her memory, Shang Ruai's hairpin had been lost for many years. She never expected that this hairpin was in the hands of the prince. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince collected Shang Ruai's hairpin. Could it be that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince's feelings for her? Thinking of this possibility, Shang Yufu couldn't help but be shocked.
No. Impossible.
How could His Royal Highness be interested in that which Shang Ruai?
Go down.
Shang Yufu clenched her fists and retreated unwillingly. As soon as she reached the door, she stopped and whispered, Your Highness, do you want her? He Lingxing raised his eyebrows slightly. What do you mean? If the prince wants to get her, I can help you, but I have a condition. He Lingxing sneered. You don't seem worthy to negotiate with me now. I can help your highness accomplish the impossible, but my request is just a matter of moving my fingers for your highness. He Lingxing smiled. Just tell me. I am willing to help your highness get the second sister. My request is to give me a sum of money, cancel my and my mother's status, and let us go. This matter is indeed not worth mentioning to He Lingxing. He smiled and said, Do you really have a way? Your highness, don't worry. I promise that I will let you get the second sister. Okay, it's a deal. In the past few days, Shang Ruai went to the Wei family from time to take a look. It was very troublesome to renovate the huge mansion, but when she thought of what it would look like after the renovation, Shang Ruai couldn't help but look forward to it. He Jinghing's horse ranch was almost finished, and in a few days, when the cows arrived, they could be brought directly to the ranch. On this day, Shang Ruai was looking at the account book when Xiaoyao ran in a panic. Miss, something happened. In the main hall, Prince Ding's face was cold, and he said in a deep voice, Where did you get the news from? Your Highness, the news has spread all over the streets now. Even in the tea house, some people have made it into a storytelling piece. How can this be possible? Your Highness, calm down. Princess Ding stepped forward and said, It's not Ruai's fault. How can she make the decision? That's right, father. He Yuni said softly. Sister-in-law was not born at that time. This incident cannot be blamed on her. You must not blame sister-in-law. Don't forget that sister-in-law is your savior. Prince Ding glanced at the mother and daughter. What does it have to do with her? I am angry because of those people who spread rumors. At this moment, a servant came in with a piece of paper in his hand. Your Highness, I picked this up on the street. Prince Ding glanced at the contents of the paper and said coldly, This is outrageous. Come, arrest all those who spread this news. Wait a minute, father. Shang Ruai walked in slowly. The daughter-in-law pays respects to the father and mother. Quickly, no need to be polite. Princess Ding helped her up. Good child, have you also heard about what happened on the street? They are slandering me. How could my sister-in-law not be the daughter of Prime Minister Shang? He Yuni said loudly. My father must arrest them all to serve as a warning to others. What they said is true. I am indeed not the daughter of Shangnian. After Shang Ruai finished speaking, the main hall fell silent. Xiaoyao stood aside, twisting her handkerchief with her fingers and secretly looking at the expressions on the faces of Prince Ding and Princess Ding. After a long while, Prince Ding found his voice and said in disbelief, Are you telling the truth? Shang Ruai nodded. My daughter-in-law is indeed not the daughter of Shangnian. I already knew this in the place of exile. At this moment, there was a pop sound, and Prince Ding slammed heavily on the table, stood up suddenly, his face flushed, and said loudly, Why didn't you say it earlier? Shang Ruai was stunned. My daughter-in-law thought you wouldn't care about these things. And didn't He Jingheng already know it a long time ago? Shang Ruai thought that he was quite disgusted with her background, but suddenly she heard a hearty laugh. Ha ha ha. Princess Ding slapped him hard. You are so scary. Good, good, good. That's great. Prince Ding laughed loudly. It's great that you are not of the Shang family. Otherwise, how can I explain to my ancestors 100 years later? If He Jingheng marries a girl from the Shang family, I am afraid that I will be beaten to death by my ancestors. It doesn't matter what bloodline as long as it is not from the Shang family. Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing secretly. If he knew that she was the biological daughter of the king of Western Region City, who knows what would happen? He Yuni, who was on the side, finally felt relieved. She thought that her father would dislike her sister-in-law because of her background. He Jingheng also received the news in the military camp. My lord, I don't know where this news came from, but it spread throughout the streets and alleys overnight. Now the crown prince's concubine has become a laughingstock among the people of the capital. He Jingheng's face darkened. What do they say? Some people say that the crown prince's concubine has an unlucky father and an unknown origin, and is not worthy of being the crown prince's principal wife. Others speculate that the crown prince's concubine's mother has a low character and had an unclear relationship with the servants of the prime minister's mansion, which is why she gave birth to the crown prince's concubine. There are even more unpleasant things, so I'd better not say them out, so as not to pollute the crown prince's ears. He Jingheng looked at the paper in his hand. Such a quick and careful plan made this news spread throughout the capital in the shortest time. The only families who could do these things and have a grudge against Shang Ruoi were none other than those few families. Go and check the source of this news quickly.
Yes.
He Jingheng thought for a moment, stood up and prepared to walk out of the tent. Prince, are you going to the commander's tent? Several deputy generals are waiting for you to discuss matters. No, let's go back home. Yun Tian heard this and suddenly realized that in the eyes of the prince, nothing was more important than the prince's wife. When the deputy generals heard that he suddenly returned home, they couldn't help asking, Did anything happen in the mansion? Yun Tian smiled. It's about the prince's wife. The prince's wife? It's rare that their prince would be tripped by a woman. One of the deputy general's eyes flashed slightly, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his lips. He Jingheng returned to the mansion and went straight to their yard. Shang Ruai was studying Dongji's jewelry, drawing dozens of drawings, and preparing to let skilled craftsmen make them according to the drawings. What are you doing? He Jingheng saw her serious look from a distance and couldn't bear to disturb her. He waited until she put down the pen before he asked. I didn't do anything, just drew some little things. Shang Ruai put away the drawings and couldn't help asking, Why did you come back? Didn't you say it would take at least half a month? I just wanted to eat the food you cooked. He Jingheng looked at her with deep eyes. I'll go see what's in the kitchen later and make you 2 side dishes to try.
Okay.
He Jingheng didn't look away until her figure disappeared around the corner. Looking at the writing on the table, he couldn't help but smile at himself. Hearing the news, he was worried, afraid that she would get stuck in a dead end and rush back from the military camp. But she was fine. As if the person being talked about by the whole capital was not her, she was not affected at all and was drawing leisurely here. He couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly. At this point, he had to admit that his life was ruined by this girl. Shang Ruai cooked a few dishes and specially fried a portion of clam meat. The clam meat tasted really delicious, and she loved it very much recently. In addition, she also took out the pickled cucumbers in the space. What is this? This is pickled vegetables. Although it is not a valuable thing, it is crisp and delicious. She picked up a piece for him. If you like it, you can take it to the military camp. You can eat it whenever you want, and you don't have to go through so much trouble like today. He Jingheng paused in eating the food and cursed inwardly, little conscienceless. He just said casually that he wanted to eat her food. He stretched out his hand and pinched her face lightly. You are really an ungrateful person. Shang Ruai's lips curled slightly, but she smiled and said nothing. After dinner, He Jingheng did not leave, but took a book to read in her room. Don't you have to go back to the military camp tonight?
Yeah.
Shang Ruai didn't say much after hearing this, and continued to draw on the table. After a while, a pile of books was ready in front of her. These should be enough for the opening. Her eyes fell on the book in He Jingheng's hand, and she couldn't help laughing. He Jingheng looked at her in confusion. What are you laughing at? The book is held upside down.
What?
He Jingheng's eyes finally fell on the book, and he touched the tip of his nose awkwardly. Recently, this prince has been trying to read it upside down. So that's how it is. The prince's hobby is really unique. She yawned. I'm going to sleep. Yeah. He Jingheng didn't move, his eyes still on the book. After a while, a sound of even breathing came from the bed. He Jingheng put down the book, walked to the bed, and looked at Shang Ruoi, who was already asleep. He gently lifted the quilt and lay down in it, for fear of waking her up. He put his arms around her and held her in his arms. At this moment, Shang Ruoi turned over, found a comfortable position in his arms, and continued to sleep. A trace of helplessness flashed in He Jingheng's eyes. Was he looking for trouble? He tightened his arms around her slightly. The person in his arms let out a slight whimper of discomfort. He Jingheng quickly loosened his arms. This night was probably more difficult for him than torture. Before dawn, He Jingheng was about to return to the barracks. He kissed Shang Ruoi on the head and left in a hurry. Shang Ruoi just felt that she had a refreshing sleep. When she got up, she didn't see He Jingheng. The bed next to her was also cold. He must have been gone for a long time. She was going to buy 2 shops today. After saying hello to Princess Ding, Shang Ruoi went out of the mansion directly. After walking a few steps on the street, she could hear the voices of people talking. Have you heard? The biological father of the princess of Prince Ding is not the former Prime Minister Shang at all. Then who is it? We don't even know who it is. I think it might be a coachman or a guard. TSK. With such a background, how can she be worthy of our prince? If it were you, the prince should just divorce her. The Prince of Ding's palace is the guardian of our Tianshan, and we can't let a rat mess it up. Hearing this, the people echoed one after another. Shang Ruoi frowned, while Xiaorao beside her clenched her fists and said angrily, These common people, they run faster than anyone else during the war, but they work together to gossip. Yunqi said in a deep voice, Crown Princess, do you want me to drive them away? Shang Ruoi smiled, shook her head and said, It's just a few idle words. What's there to care about? Besides, what they said is not wrong. I am indeed not Shang Yan's daughter. She turned around and was about to leave, and the people behind were still talking. At this moment, several strong men rushed out and shouted at the gossipers, You are not allowed to slander the crown prince's consort. Shang Ruai stopped in her tracks. She didn't expect that someone would speak for her. She looked back and found that she didn't know those people at all. You are not allowed to slander the crown prince's consort. The crown prince's consort is not what you say. One of the strong men said. How do you know? She is the crown prince's consort. Are you working for the Ding Palace? We are not working for the Ding Palace, but we were all saved by the crown prince's consort. During the drought that year, our village had no harvest. The crown prince's consort saved more than 100 people in our village on the way to exile. They had no food, but she still shared food with us. She is the great benefactor of our entire village. The people in our village will never allow anyone to defame the Ding Palace and the crown prince's consort. After hearing what he said, A woman stepped forward with her hands on her waist and sneered. I think you were all sent by the Crown Princess of Ding. Humph. Do you think you can use such means to restore your image in our hearts? How funny. We were not sent by Prince Ding's consort. It is well known that she saved our entire village. If you don't believe it, you can go and ask around. Even if her biological father is really not Prime Minister Shang, so what? This does not affect the fact that she is a good person. You gossipers only know how to gossip about her behind her back. When you heard that the Crown Princess was fighting bloody battles in Qingzhou and was able to hold off thousands of troops from southern Xinjiang alone, why didn't you go? Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment when they heard this, and the woman who had just spoken was instantly speechless. Shang Rui raised her eyebrows slightly, looked at Yunqi, and whispered, This person was arranged by your prince, right? Yunqi blushed slightly and coughed softly. It's just that someone gave a few suggestions, but they are sincerely grateful to the prince's wife. Shang Rui smiled. Let's go. Several people came to a very prosperous street, and Yunqi whispered, Prince's wife, there's a shop here. Their boss is going back to his hometown, so this shop is ready to be sold. Please take a look. Shang Rui glanced back and forth on the street and walked into the shop. This shop is a cloth shop, located in the middle of the street, with a jewelry shop on the left and a tea house on the right. Shang Rui walked in and found that there was only a two-story shop here, and the street was behind it. Sir, are you here to see the shop or buy cloth? Come and take a look. She walked to the counter, which was filled with all kinds of cloth. Sir, you have a very good eye. This cloth is brocade, which has been the most popular in the capital in the past 2 years. Many young ladies from official families love it very much. Boss, how much is your shop selling for? Sir, my shop only costs 6,000 taels. 6,000 taels. Shang Rui frowned slightly. Why is it so expensive? Sir, 6,000 taels is not expensive. My shop has the best location on this street. If I hadn't been going back to my hometown, I would never have sold this shop. Shang Rui smiled. Shopkeeper, the price of shops in the capital is between 2,000 and 3,000 taels. A shop with a good location is only 4,000 taels, and a shop with a yard is 5,000 taels. Your shop doesn't have a yard and the shop is small, but you want 6,000 taels. Isn't it a bit too much? Hearing her say this, the shopkeeper's face changed slightly, and he smiled awkwardly. Sir, my shop has a very good feng shui. In the beginning, I relied on this shop to do a booming business. You spend a little more money to buy some luck in making a fortune. What's wrong with that? Shang Rui couldn't help but sneer when she heard it. Luck in making a fortune? If she really bought the shop, would she make a fortune, or would he? It's too far-fetched to use this gimmick to ask for more money. Shang Rui shook her head. It's still too expensive. After saying that, she was ready to turn around and leave. The shopkeeper saw that she was really going to leave and just wanted to keep her, but heard a burst of sneers from the door. If the crown prince's wife can't afford it, just say it directly. Your family is rich and powerful, but you still lack the money of the common people. It really makes your palace lose face. Mu Qingning walked in with a sarcastic smile on her face. How much money can a shop have? This lady will buy it. Shang Rui raised her eyebrows slightly when she heard it and looked at Mu Qingning with interest. How could Prime Minister Mu raise such a brainless daughter? Since Miss Mu likes it, I won't take it away from her. She didn't want to pay attention to her and walked straight out. Mu Qingning stepped forward and blocked Shang Rui's way. Yunqi saw this and was about to take action when he was stopped by Shang Rui. What? Do you still want to hit me? Mu Qingning sneered. I really didn't expect that you still have the nerve to walk on this street. If I were you, I would have hidden in the house and dared not come out. Why don't you dare come out? Shang Rui had a smile on her face. I haven't done anything wrong. Why don't I dare go out? Haven't you heard what everyone is talking about now? The prince's wife of Prince Ding, her biological father is unknown. Maybe he is a groom, coachman, or a guard. Can you tell clearly? Mu Qingning glanced at her contemptuously. If you are a concubine of the Prime Minister's mansion, although humble, you are also a descendant of a famous family. What was the result? Your biological mother actually cheated on her husband. Such despicable behavior is really despicable. No wonder she died early. I think God couldn't stand a woman like her and wanted to take her away. Shang Ruai heard this. Her expression did not change. Why? Aren't you good at speaking? Why don't you speak? Shang Ruai curled her lips slightly and said lightly, Yunqi, slap your mouth. Before Mu Qingning could react, Yunqi's slap had already landed on her face.
Ah!
With a scream, Mu Qingning fell to the ground, with a trace of blood flowing from the corner of her lips. Yunqi didn't even use 1/10 of his strength, otherwise Mu Qingning might not be alive. You dare to hit me. Shang Ruai smiled and whispered. The last person who asked me this seemed to be Princess Xiao. She walked slowly in front of her and said condescendingly, I even dare to hit her. Do you think you are more noble than her? Shang Ruai, you lowly person who doesn't even know who your biological father is, I will go to the emperor to file a complaint. Make your ugly face public. Let you be spurned by the world. I want to see if the Dinghua Palace will tolerate you. Don't bother with that. Shang Ruai sneered. You said you wanted to file a complaint in front of His Majesty. I have the same idea. I want to ask the Emperor, as the daughter of a minister, what kind of punishment is for being disrespectful to the Crown Prince's consort in public? You. Mu Qingning narrowed her eyes and laughed out loud. I heard that the Emperor of Southern Xinjiang has sent an envoy from Southern Xinjiang with the Saint Girl to Tianshan to express his apology. I heard that the Saint Girl of Southern Xinjiang already has a crush on someone, and that person is His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Do you think that in order to ensure the stability of his country, the Emperor will marry the Saint Girl of Southern Xinjiang into the palace? Saint Girl of Southern Xinjiang? Seeing her expression, Mu Qingning thought that she had grasped Shang Ruai's lifeline and couldn't help but smile. Just wait and see. When the Saint of Southern Xinjiang marries into the palace, let's see how you can still show off your power. Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips slightly and said word by word, when this prince's wife single-handedly repelled tens of thousands of elite soldiers from Southern Xinjiang, you are still enjoying yourself in the capital. Do you think I am like you, marrying into the Dinghua Palace relying on my family background? The smile on her face gradually disappeared. I dared to kidnap even the prince of Southern Xinjiang, a mere saint. Do you think I am afraid? Mu Qingning swallowed, completely shocked by her aura, and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. Since you like this shop, just buy it. Shang Ruai looked at the dumbfounded shopkeeper, smiled, and said, This is the legitimate daughter of the right Prime Minister's mansion. She will definitely not lack your money. 6,000 taels. Just go to the right Prime Minister's mansion and ask for it. What? 6,000 taels? Why is this shop so expensive? Mu Qingning came to her senses and was about to refuse, but she heard the shopkeeper thanking her profusely and bowing continuously. If she refused to buy it this time, she would definitely be ridiculed. She had no choice but to bite the bullet and let the servants go to get the banknotes. Seeing this, Shang Ruai walked towards where she was standing and said in a very low voice, 6,000 taels. Just consider it as a lesson. After she finished speaking, she walked straight out, leaving Mu Qingning behind her, gritting her teeth. Seeing that she let Mu Qingning go, Yunqi couldn't help but whispered, Princess, if you don't like it, I will take people to deal with her. Shang Ruai glared at him. How did you learn so much banditry from your prince? Banditry? Yunqi couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Princess, you can do such a thing as plucking feathers from a passing goose, and now you even think he is full of banditry. People like this who don't have any brains can be kept and put to other uses in the future. Yes. Shang Ruai and the others continued to walk to other streets. After a long time, they came to the end of a street. A shop had been emptied, leaving only a few tables and chairs. Princess, this was a jewelry store before. It has been closed for a long time. And I heard that the feng shui of this house is not good. No matter what business it does, it can't last long. Oh. Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly. That should be interesting. Yunqi couldn't help but hold his forehead when he saw this. She walked into the shop. At this time, the shopkeeper was about to lock the shop, and he was shocked to find several people standing in the shop. Sir, may I ask what you are doing here? I have no jewelry left to buy. Shang Ruai smiled. Boss, is your shop for sale? Sell, sell, sell,
Of course I am selling it.
he said with a little excitement. Take a look. If you like it, I will sell it to you at a lower price. There is a square courtyard behind the shop, which is very spacious. Zhang Ruai looked in the direction of his finger and nodded with satisfaction. She liked the shop very much. Although this shop is a bit old, it is still relatively new. The shopkeeper said, I can give you a lower price. Zhang Ruai looked at him in surprise. She didn't even say she wanted to buy, but he had already started to lower the price. Boss, this is the first time I see someone doing business like you. The boss smiled bitterly and said, To tell you the truth, this is no secret. I am not the first owner of the shop. It has changed hands several times before me. But you can see that this shop is at the innermost part of the last street. No one comes to buy here. It has been closed many times. Zhang Ruai nodded when she heard it. It was indeed the case. I opened a jewelry shop and I thought it would be popular. However, there are too many jewelry shops on these streets. Who would walk so far to buy from me? Sometimes I can't sell a hairpin for more than a month. Zhang Ruai couldn't help but smile when she heard it. You are really honest. Although I am a businessman, I can also distinguish right from wrong. My ancestors were traveling merchants. It was not until my grandfather's generation that we opened a shop. Since I was a child, I was taught by my elders that businessmen should be honest and trustworthy. Zhang Ruai nodded. What's your name?
I'm Zhang Wen.
I'll buy your shop. Name a price. Zhang Ruai said with a smile. If you haven't decided what to do in the future, you can come to my place to be the shopkeeper first. Zhang Wen was overjoyed when he heard it. Are you really willing to buy this shop? He rubbed his hands. 3,000 taels, what do you think?
Zhang Ruai nodded. Okay.
Yunqi took out a banknote and handed it to him. I still need a shopkeeper. If you are willing to do it, I will pay you 20 taels of salary every month. Zhang Wen was delighted. Could it be that he met a god today? Otherwise, how could there be such a good thing as pie in the sky? He had already prepared to sell this shop, but he never expected that he could sell it. Yes, yes, of course I am willing. At this moment, a man hurriedly walked in from outside the door. Seeing this, Yunqi frowned slightly, put the dagger in front of him, and said coldly, Who are you? The man knelt down with a thump before he came close. Good man, please be kind and take over my shop too. He couldn't stop crying. My shop is the same as Zhang Wen's. There is no income at all. Now my whole family is waiting for food. I am really desperate. Please save me, good man. Zhang Ruai looked at him and whispered, What does your shop do? My shop is a cloth shop. I'll go take a look. Okay, please. The two shops are exactly the same in size. It's not impossible to buy both. How much is your shop? The shopkeeper's eyes flickered, and he said with a smile, My shop is closer to Zhang Wen's, so it's naturally more expensive than Zhang Wen's shop. He smiled and said, 5,000 taels, what do you think? 5,000 taels? Zhang Ruai sneered. Did the shopkeeper think he was being taken advantage of? If the shopkeeper wants to sell it for 5,000 taels, then sell it to someone else. Zhang Ruai said in a cold voice, Zhang Wen's shop is 3,000 taels, and your shop is connected to his. If you want to sell it for 5,000 taels, go and see if there is the sucker you are looking for in the capital and sell the shop to him. After she finished speaking, she walked towards the door without looking back. Seeing this, the shopkeeper hurriedly said, 3,000 taels. That's it. He was thankful that he could sell the shop now. He had not opened it for several months. If he continued to lose money like this, what would his family do? Zhang Ruai paid the money readily. He took the banknote and thanked him profusely. I will have someone move the things in the shop out right away. Okay, I'll give you 2 days. Zhang Ruai packed the 2 written documents and ordered people to find Mr. Wu. It was he who decorated the milk tea shop in the exile place before. Now that she handed the milk tea shop over to him, she didn't have to worry about it anymore. As for the other shop, she had already thought about it and wanted to open a jewelry shop here to sell dongju. Gold and silver jewelry are too common, but dongju shop, I'm afraid not many people have seen it, or no one has ever seen it. After all, Powerful people may never know what Dongzhu looks like in their entire lives. Unexpectedly, the shop was bought so quickly. As soon as she returned to the house, she ran into Prime Minister Mu and Madame Mu, who came to ask for an explanation. Miss, someone from the Mu family is here, Xiaorao said in a low voice. Shang Ruai sneered. She had already guessed that, according to the style of the Mu family, they would argue even if they were wrong. Now that their daughter suffered such a big loss in public, they would naturally not give in. What's more, they lost face. Mu Qingning returned to the mansion with a swollen face. Within half a day, it would spread throughout the capital. Naturally, their Mu family didn't want to suffer a loss. When they saw Shang Ruai getting off the carriage, Prime Minister Mu glared at her, snorted coldly, and walked directly into the palace. Madame Mu said in a deep voice, "Today we will let the prince and princess preside over justice. Although you are the prince's wife, you can't go too far. I want to see if the prince and princess will still favor you after you do such a thing." Shang Ruai sneered. "Madame Mu, you can try." After she finished speaking, her eyes fell on Mu Qingning's face, which was even more swollen than before. It's not very symmetrical. After that, Shang Ruai went straight into the mansion. Madame Mu gritted her teeth after being humiliated by her. "I want to see how long you can be so proud." He Yuan and Qin were sitting in the main hall. Looking at the swollen left face of Mu Qingning, they turned to Shang Ruai, who was sitting beside them, and said, "Ruai, what is going on?" "Mother, Miss Mu and I had some arguments." Miss Mu said disrespectful words, and your daughter-in-law just asked the servants to slap her in the face and let her learn a lesson. Listen. Is this human language? Prime Minister Mu clenched his fists. If it is true, as the Crown Princess said, and it was Qingning who spoke disrespectfully, then I would have accepted the slap. But in fact, it was the Crown Princess who ordered the servants to beat Qingning, causing her injury. That's why I came to the prince and princess to seek an explanation. Oh. Prince Ding also looked at Shang Ruai. Now that Prime Minister Mu says that you ordered the servants to beat Miss Mu, what do you say? Seeing that Prince Ding and Princess Ding both asked Shang Ruai's opinion, he couldn't help but be shocked. I didn't do these things. Shang Ruai smiled. Father, what would happen if Miss Mu faced Ah Cheng? He Yuan thought for a while. If she was beaten by someone as skilled as Ah Cheng, she would be beaten to death. What if she met Yunqi? She would live longer than an incense stick. Shang Ruai smiled. The person who slapped Miss Mu today was Yunqi. Upon hearing this, Prince Ding turned to look at Prime Minister Mu. If that person was Yunqi, he would have just taught her a lesson. What do you mean, Your Highness? Yunqi. Shang Ruai said softly. The Mu family didn't know her intention. They only felt a gust of wind blowing, and the next moment, Yunqi appeared in the room. I'm here. I don't like the vase in the corner. Shang Ruai said lightly. Prime Minister Mu frowned. Is he talking about something he likes or dislikes now? At this moment, a palm wind whistled past their ears. The vase in the corner exploded, scaring the Mu family. After a long while, the Mu family came back to their senses. What does the Crown Prince's consort mean? Prime Minister Mu's hands trembled slightly, and he said in a deep voice, Are you threatening me? Prime Minister Mu is overthinking. I'm just telling you that if I want my servants to beat Miss Mu, it won't just swell up one side of her face, but will directly take her life. A chill rushed from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. Shang Ruai's aura was revealed without reservation, and even He Yuan looked sideways. Even if it is according to what the Crown Princess said, it is not the Crown Princess's turn to teach the children. We, the Mu family, will teach them ourselves. Really? Shang Ruai smiled. I just think that Madame Mu can't even control her own words and deeds, and I'm afraid she can't educate her children well. What did you say? Madame Mu was about to get angry, but suddenly she remembered that Prince Ding was still sitting there, and she didn't dare to be too presumptuous. She rolled her eyes, and her eyes instantly turned red. She took a handkerchief to wipe her tears, crying and saying, Master, I really can't live anymore. I was mocked by a junior like this. How can I face people in the future? Although you are the prince's consort, my Mu family is not a family that can be bullied and manipulated. At most, we can go to the emperor and let him judge. Shang Ruai nodded seriously. This sentence was also said by the young lady of your house. She raised her chin slightly. Even if Prime Minister Mu didn't say it, I was thinking the same thing. I would go to the emperor to ask how much power Prime Minister Mu's house has. A young lady from the house dares to disrespect me and my biological mother. She looked at Mu Qingning. The dead are the greatest. You slander her like this. Aren't you afraid that she will come to you in the middle of the night when you wake up in your dreams? Mu Qingning couldn't help but shudder when she heard that. For some reason, she felt a chilly wind suddenly blowing around her, making the hairs on her body stand up. Shang Ruai slowly withdrew her palm, and Mu Qingning felt the chilly wind dissipate. She swallowed her saliva with a look of fear on her face. Hearing Shang Ruai say this, Princess Ding frowned. Ruai, what do you mean by what you said just now? It's about my biological mother. Shang Ruai said lightly. The matter about my identity is now spreading all over the capital, but I don't care. Why should I be afraid of what people say? As long as I act uprightly and have no regrets in front of the world and my heart, it's fine. But in Miss Mu's mind, this matter is not that simple. She looked at Mu Qingning with contempt. Let's not talk about how Miss Mu knew about this. How can you be sure that the news you heard is true? Have I admitted it myself? Hearing this, Mu Qingning hurriedly said, That's what people say on the street. Yes, you said it too. That's what people say on the street. Shang Ruai sneered. Among the many young ladies from the families of officials in Tianshan, Miss Mu is the only one who went out on the street? You are the only one who got the news? Why didn't I hear such treasonous words from other people? Not only did you tell me about this matter, but you also insulted my biological mother. If I don't teach you a lesson, Miss Mu's mouth will definitely cause trouble in the future. You are making up stories. Shang Ruai sneered. Who of you and I is making up stories, don't you know? Mu Qingning's face turned pale, looking at her, and said, I am only telling the truth. Your existence does bring discredit to the palace. You are not even the biological daughter of Prime Minister Shang. Why? Just because I am Shang Nian's biological daughter, can I bring any glory to the palace? Shang Ruai sneered. Besides, my father and mother didn't say anything wrong about me. Why are you barking there? Barking? He actually said she was a dog. Mu Qingning bit her lips tightly. It was a great shame. It was really a great shame. Crown Princess, please be careful with your words. Prime Minister Mu said in a deep voice. The one who really should be careful with her words is Prime Minister Mu's daughter. She is still unmarried, and she openly said on the street that my mother deserved her death. I wonder if there is any family willing to marry such a daughter-in-law. After Shang Ruai finished speaking, Mu Qingning lowered her head guiltily, while He Yuan and Qin, who were sitting in the main seat, frowned. No matter what Ruai's background is, she is the crown prince's consort of my Dinghua palace, and no one else can interfere. Qin looked at the Mu family and said in a cold voice, Miss Mu openly insulted the crown prince's consort and her biological mother in public, which is an insult to our Dinghua palace and contempt for the royal family. Even though Prime Minister Mu is in a high position, you can't bear such a crime. She turned her head and looked at Shang Ruai. You are too easy to bully, and you have been scolded by others, but you just let the guards teach you a lesson. If you meet your mother, I will definitely let the servants teach that person a lesson, and then report it to the emperor, and let the emperor and the queen make the decision for your mother. I want to see who is so bold as to bully our Dinghua palace. Her words directly stated her position. No matter what, the Dinghua palace would protect Shang Ruai to the end. Prime Minister Mu's eyes fell on He Yuan, and he heard him whisper, Why don't I go to the palace immediately and tell the emperor to make the decision? Prime Minister Mu almost fainted with anger. He never thought that even Prince Ding would protect Shang Ruai like this. Prime Minister Mu's eyes fell on Shang Ruai. What kind of magic did this woman have? Why did the prince and princess like her so much? Just then, there was a sound of footsteps at the door, and He Yuni ran in. Father and mother, who bullied my sister-in-law. She looked at Mu Qingning as swollen face and couldn't help laughing. Why is it you again? As early as when He Yuni was young, She didn't like Mu Qingning. The purpose of this woman to flatter and please herself was to marry her brother. Although Hyuni didn't like socializing, she was very good at judging people. Mu Qingning had evil intentions, which was what she hated the most. You did something bad on the wedding day of my brother and sister-in-law. What did you do today? No problem. Shang Ruai waved at her. It's just that I don't like what Miss Mu said. Hyuni sat next to her. Sister-in-law, my brother said before that he would never let you suffer any grievances. If anyone dares to disrespect you, they will be enemies with the entire Dinghua Palace. Naturally, I can't stand by and watch. She clapped her hands, and suddenly a low roar came from the door. The next moment, two shadows walked into the main hall one after another. The Mu family was almost scared and got under the chair. Xiao Bai and Xiao Huang walked into the hall, looking at the Mu family with fierce eyes. Shang Ruai saw this, and she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She seriously suspected that the reason why Hyuni came here was to show off her tiger. Your Majesty, what do you mean? Prime Minister Mu was a civil servant. How could he have seen a live tiger? Your Majesty, do you want to kill people to silence them? Hyun glanced at him. If I wanted to kill you, why would I do it so secretly? Prime Minister Mu was choked and speechless. He sat on the chair like pins and needles, fearing that the tiger would suddenly rush over and tear him to pieces. Madame Mu and Mu Qingning beside him had fainted when the tiger walked towards them. Shang Ruai gave Yunqi a wink, and Yunqi walked forward and tapped Madame Mu and Mu Qingning on the shoulders, and the two slowly opened their eyes. As soon as they opened their eyes, they saw the tiger's face close at hand, and the next moment, they rolled their eyes and fainted again. Really weak. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw a bitter smile on Hyun's face. She couldn't help but think of Hyun's expression when he saw the tigers he raised, which was not much better than Prime Minister Mu's. Shang Ruai stood up and passed a very weak energy into their bodies. The mother and daughter of the Mu family opened their eyes again. When they saw the tiger, they really wanted to faint again. If they fainted, they would not have to see this terrifying tiger again. But they had energy in their bodies, and they could not faint even if they wanted to. You two must not be carried away from our palace. If it gets out, people outside will say that our palace is bullying others. How could our Dinghua Palace do such a thing? What do you think, Prime Minister Mu? Yes, yes, yes. He wiped the sweat from his head, his face pale. The Crown Prince's concubine is right. Shang Ruai waved to Xiao Bai with a smile on her face. Under their horrified gaze, Xiao Bai slowly walked towards Shang Ruai. Xiao Bai squatted at Shang Ruai's feet, enjoying her caress, his eyes slightly narrowed, his tail gently wagging. This is the action that he'll do when he feels extremely comfortable. Xiao Huang looked at Xiao Bai with envy. It also wanted energy. Where was the arrogance of Prime Minister Mu? My lord, princess, today I did not restrain my daughter well. He looked at Mu Qingning and said coldly, You evil creature, why don't you come and apologize to the crown princess? Mu Qingning's legs were limp. How could she have the strength to stand up? Shang Ruai smiled. Prime Minister Mu, forget it. I think Miss Mu is not really admitting her mistakes, and I am not the kind of person who forces others to do things. Crown Princess, I know I was wrong. She struggled to stand up, but she couldn't control her legs. Not only her, but all the members of the Mu family were like this. Unable to stand up, she fell directly to the ground. Your servant really knows that you were wrong. It is a great improvement if you know your mistakes. Shang Ruai sneered. I hope Miss Mu will remember what she said. If I hear Miss Mu say anything that shouldn't be said again. She smiled and patted Xiao Bai's head. Miss Mu doesn't seem to know how powerful the tiger I raised is. How could Mu Qingning dare to say no after hearing that? How could she not know how powerful the tiger was? Just looking at those sharp teeth, it could bite her neck to pieces in one bite. Princess, your servant really knows that I was wrong. I will never dare to do it again. Please forgive me. Hyuni sneered. I think the rumors outside must have been spread by you. No, it's not your servant. Your servant just heard about it. Mu Qingning quickly waved her hand to deny. It's better if it's not you. He Yuni glanced at her. If you did this, don't blame my Xiao Huang for being rude to you. Mu Qingning's body trembled, and she looked at Xiao Huang from the corner of her eye. Coincidentally, Xiao Huang also looked at her. Xiao Huang suddenly opened his mouth and growled at her. Mu Qingning was so scared that her eyes rolled back. She couldn't hold on any longer and fainted. Zhang Rui's eyes sank slightly, and she said coldly, "This is the only time. If I hear something I shouldn't hear in the future." Her eyes swept over the Mu family, and she said coldly, "Don't blame me for overturning your prime minister's mansion." In the end, not only Mu Qingning was carried out, but even Prime Minister Mu and Madame Mu were carried out of the palace. It was not their fault. Originally, the two of them could walk a few steps with the help of the servants. When they reached the door, they saw two tigers guarding the door, and they kept growling from time to time. They were so scared that they rolled down the steps and fainted. Many people saw the scene of the Mu family being carried out of the palace. During the morning court session the next day, the Ding Palace was directly reported. "Your Majesty, I think that since the Ding Palace returned to the capital, some rumors have been heard from time to time. Recently, there are rumors that the Ding Prince's wife is not Shangnian's biological daughter, but a rascal whose biological father is unknown." He looked at He Yuan and He Jingheng and whispered, "She is a rascal whose biological father is unknown." As soon as Wei Yan, the Minister of Rights, finished speaking, he felt a gust of wind coming, and a slap fell on his face. The court was silent, and everyone looked at He Jingheng in shock. He saw him slowly walk back to his seat and stand still, as if he was not the one who had just done this. You. Wei Yan pointed at him and said coldly, "How dare you hit me? This is in the court, not your Dinghua Palace." He Jingheng sneered. "So what?" Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They never thought that He Jingheng would say such a thing. "Your Majesty." Wei Yan knelt on the ground. Prince Ding despised the monarch and committed a crime in public in the court. This is a crime of great disrespect. Your Majesty, please punish him severely. Emperor Tianshuan's face was livid. He Jingheng. Your Majesty. Before Emperor Tianshun could finish speaking, he was interrupted by him. Your Majesty, I don't care about my wife's background or who her biological father is. What right do they have to talk about it here? As an official appointed by the court, he has not finished his own work, and his eyes are on my backyard all day long. Shouldn't he be beaten? The Ministry of Rights has so many things to do. A few days ago, Your Majesty asked about next month's ceremony of offering sacrifices to the sky, and Lord Wei said that it was not finished yet. It turns out that he has put all his thoughts here. Your Majesty, I am innocent. I only heard about it. Wei Yan explained hurriedly. Since it's just hearsay, even if there is no real evidence, how dare you bring such a thing before Your Majesty and say it in front of all the civil and military officials? He Jingheng smiled. I heard that Lord Wei killed his father and mother before. Wei Yan hurriedly said, Your Majesty, it's unjust. My parents died early. How could I have killed them? Prince, you are slandering. Your Majesty, I am the same as Lord Wei. I just heard it. Everyone knew that He Jingheng was giving someone a taste of his own medicine.
All right.
Emperor Tianshun said coldly, Don't bring hearsay to the court. He looked at He Jingheng. As a prince, you openly attacked and injured someone in the court. It is really disrespectful. You will be fined for half a year as a warning. I obey your order. For fighting in the court, the emperor only fined him for half a year. If it were someone else, he would have been dragged away and beaten half to death. How could Wei Yan, who was kneeling on the ground, swallow this breath? Your Majesty, I have something else to report. Emperor Tianshun glanced at him impatiently. Speak. The crown prince beat me, and I am a lowly person with little influence, so I dare not complain. However, Prime Minister Mu is a veteran in the court, and he also suffered at their hands. Wei Yan said excitedly. Dozens of people saw it yesterday. Prime Minister Mu, Madame Mu, and Miss Mu were carried out of the Dinghua Palace. Today, Prime Minister Mu took sick leave again. He must have been seriously injured. Please ask Your Majesty to make the decision for the Prime Minister. He Jingheng smiled when he heard it. Prime Minister? Do you mean that I hurt their family yesterday? Your Majesty must know best whether I did it or not. I believe Prime Minister Mu knows this matter best. Why not bring Prime Minister Mu from home and ask him? Then we will know, right? Nonsense. The Emperor said coldly. How can Prime Minister Mu come when he is sick at home? Just find someone to carry him here. He Jingheng's eyes swept across Wei Yan's face. If we can't give an explanation to the ministers today, won't my Dinghua Palace bear the stigma of bullying the court officials? He looked at He Lingsheng. Prince, am I right? He Lingsheng raised his eyebrows slightly, and then said softly, Jingheng has some truth in what he said. One expected that the Dingwang Palace would change its usual behavior after returning to Beijing. In the past, the Dingwang Palace acted very low-key in the court. Even if someone impeached them, they would at most argue with reason, but they would never ignore the emperor as they did now. After a while, Prime Minister Mu walked into the palace with the help of eunuchs. Your Majesty, I pay my respects to you. Long live the emperor. Stand up. Emperor Tianshun said in a low voice. How is your health, my dear minister? Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. I am fine. Prime Minister Mu lowered his head and said, Yesterday, I took my wife and daughter to visit the Dingwang Palace. I accidentally got drunk, and my old illness relapsed. I just need to rest for a few days. Before the emperor could ask more questions, Prime Minister Mu had already explained the reason for his illness clearly, which made Wei Yan swallow back the words that were about to come out. I see. The emperor pondered for a moment, then asked, But some people said that they saw your wife and daughter being carried out. Why is that? Prime Minister Mu said with some embarrassment. It was all because of the two of them drinking too much, the wine in the prince's house. He looked at He Yuan and He Jingheng, lowered his head again, and said, It was really too strong. Emperor Tianshun looked at Wei Yan and said angrily, Did you hear it clearly? Wei Yan knelt on the ground, his body trembled, and said in a trembling voice, I know my crime. It was my fault that I failed to figure out the matter. I hope your Majesty will forgive me. Humph. As an official appointed by the court, you don't think about how to do your job well, but catch wind and shadows every day. It's really hateful. I hate this behavior.
Come here.
After the words fell, several imperial guards stepped forward. Dismiss him from his post, give him 50 lashes of the cane, and throw him out of the palace as a warning to others. Your Majesty, I know I was wrong. No matter how Wei Yan begged for mercy, the emperor's expression did not soften. If anyone does such a thing again, no matter who it is, this will be the end. After the court session, He Lingsheng was called to the imperial study by the emperor and scolded for a long time. The Minister of Rights was He Lingsheng's man, and the emperor knew that what happened in the court today was instructed by the prince. Otherwise, the Minister of Rights would not dare to contradict He Yuan and He Jingheng even if he had the courage of a bear and a leopard.
Uselessman.
The emperor yelled angrily. If you can't even handle such a small matter, what else can you do? I think you are too comfortable sitting on the throne of the crown prince. Father, I just want to vent your anger for you. How dare you? Why do I need you to do my things? He threw the memorial on the table at him. Get out. He Lingsheng clenched his fists, but still retreated respectfully. At this moment, the little eunuch walked in. Your Majesty, Concubine Ro is here. He Lingsheng walked out of the hall, and his eyes fell on a woman outside the Yangxin Palace. Concubine Ro. He Lingsheng said in a low voice. Your Highness, the Crown Prince. Concubine Ro smiled. The Emperor is in a bad mood today. Your Highness, please don't take it to heart. He Lingsheng smiled. Thank you, Your Highness, for your comfort. Just then, the little eunuch came over. Your Highness, the Emperor wants you to come in. Concubine Ro smiled at He Lingsheng, then walked into the Hall of Mental Cultivation. Is this Concubine Ro the new concubine of the Emperor? Eunuch Zhang heard this and said with a smile, Your Highness, this Concubine Ro has only been in the palace for more than a month, and she has been promoted from a noble lady to a concubine. Now she is the most favored. At this time, a sound of piano came from the Yangxin Palace. Eunuch Zhang shook his head and said, This person is just fate. There are many ladies and ladies in the harem who are very good at playing the piano. The Emperor loves to listen to her playing the piano the most. Now he summons concubine Ro to come every day. In addition, the emperor once saved the emperor with the merits of the general of the Western cavalry, so he naturally values concubine Ro more. Inach Zhang looked at his thoughtful expression and hurriedly said, "But the emperor still cares a lot about the imperial concubine." He Lingxing smiled. "Inach, there is no need to explain. The emperor and the mother are naturally in love. I just didn't expect that a rough man like the general of the Western cavalry would have such a beautiful daughter. Your Highness, you may not know that the wife of the general of the Western cavalry was once a famous beauty in the capital. After marrying the general, she gave birth to a daughter, but she died not long after. I guess concubine Ro took after the general's wife." He Lingxing nodded, glanced at the gate of the palace of tranquil longevity, and then turned and left. Back at the mansion, Shang Yufu hurriedly brought in the ginseng soup after hearing what she said. "Your Highness." As soon as she walked into the door, she saw a book thrown straight at her. She couldn't dodge in time, and the book hit her head directly. The corner of the book hit her forehead, and blood flowed down. "Your Highness, I don't know how I have offended you." "Don't know?" He Lingxing said in a cold voice. "If it weren't for your bad idea, how could I be scolded by my father today?"
I didn't know.
"I just wanted to ruin her reputation. Her biological father is unknown, so she will definitely be disliked by Prince Ding's mansion. As long as you divorce her, your Highness will have the opportunity to welcome her back to the mansion, right?" Humph.
Waste.
At the moment, it seems that Shang Ruai is not only not disliked by He Jingheng, but he protects her even more closely. "Your Highness, I will definitely think of other ways. Please give me another chance." He Lingxing glanced at her. "I never give people a second chance." "Your Highness, I know one more thing. It's about my second sister. Your Highness will definitely be interested." "You tell me." "Your Highness, my second sister is still a—" "What?" He Lingxing's eyes tightened. "How do you know?" "That day when I went to the Dinghua Palace and wanted to beg my second sister to let my father go. When I was struggling with her, I saw the toad blood on her arm. Although it was only for a brief moment, I can conclude that it must be the toad blood." Hearing her firm tone, He Lingxing's heart moved slightly. It has been such a long time since the marriage, but the second sister is still a, which means that the relationship between her and Prince Ding must not be as loving as it seems. Shang Yufu said in a deep voice, "In time, as long as there are enough rumors, she will definitely be disliked by the prince. If your Highness comforts her at that time, maybe the second sister will say to your Highness." She did not finish her words, but she knew that these were enough. He Lingxing looked at her and said in a deep voice, "You don't need to serve here, get out." Shang Yufu hurriedly retreated. Ever since she told He Lingxing about Shang Ruai's life experience, she moved out of the servant's room, and now she and the eldest lady live in a courtyard at the back of the prince's mansion. She returned to the room, fiddled with it under the bed for a while, took out a small box, opened the box, and inside was a fragment of a sheepskin map. If he looked carefully, He Lingxing would find that this map was so similar to the one in his hand. Only by looking carefully could he discover the subtle differences. After confirming that the map was still there, Shang Yufu felt relieved and put it back. Her father had specifically told her to keep it carefully, and also told her to find a chance to take the map to an inn in the capital of Bailing, where someone would protect her. She must find a chance to go to Bailing, and she would avenge her father and the humiliation she suffered today 1,000 times over. "Shang Ruai, He Jingheng, you wait for me." She sat in front of the bronze mirror, looking at the wound on her head, her fists clenched. Shang Ruai was still drawing when she saw Xiaorao walk in. She sighed and said, "Miss, why are you still in such a good mood to draw here? The rumors outside haven't stopped yet. Other people have mouths on their bodies, let them say whatever they want. I'm not losing any flesh, do I have to sew their mouths shut?" She held up the hairpin pattern she had drawn with a smile on her face. "Look at what I have drawn? Oh, my dear lady, please stop drawing. It's such a critical moment. How can you still be so interested? Peony, I have to say something about this." Shang Ruai picked up the pen again and prepared to draw a new picture. "As long as the sky doesn't fall, no one can stop me from drawing." At this moment, Hyuni ran in. "Sister-in-law, something bad happened. What's wrong? Someone is coming from the mansion. Someone is coming? What's there to be nervous about? Hyuni stamped her feet anxiously. The emperor gave them 4 beauties, saying they were sent to serve you and your brother. She curled her lips. How do they look like they are serving people? They are all delicate and tender, and it is obvious that they are here to share your bed. What did Mother say? She put down the pen in her hand. Did Mother say how to arrange them? Mother asked me to call you. It was given by the emperor, and she can't do anything to them. Hyuni said angrily. Why does the old emperor like to meddle in other people's harem affairs so much? Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes and sneered. Idle. It seems that he, the emperor, has too few things to do, and he should find something to do. Let's go to the front yard and take a look. I want to see what kind of beauties they are. After she finished speaking, she walked to the front yard. Seeing this, Xiaoyao was happy in her heart. The young lady finally went to do other things. At this moment, her eyes fell on the pen on the table, and she paused. The pen was broken into 2 pieces. She swallowed and hurried after it. Shang Ruai came to the front yard and saw a eunuch leading 4 women standing there. Qin stood opposite with a frown on her face. Princess, this is the emperor's kindness. Not only your mansion, but also Prince Zhao's mansion has sent it. The eunuch smiled and said, You must not live up to the emperor's kindness. Shang Ruai stepped forward and said with a smile, Mother.
Ruai.
Just as she was about to speak, Shang Ruai patted the back of her hand. Mother, don't worry. Hearing what she said, Qin swallowed back the unpleasant words that were about to come out. Shang Ruai looked back at the 4 women with her eyes slightly narrowed. They were really plump and thin, with all kinds of beauties gathered together. Crown Princess, the emperor sympathizes with the crown prince's hard work and has specially sent 4 beauties to serve you and his royal highness the crown prince. Shang Ruai smiled. The emperor is really thoughtful to us in Dinghua Palace. He knows that I only have 1 maid, Xiaoyao, by my side, so he sent 4 maids. Well, I'm a crown prince's concubine, and I only have 1 maid when I go out. It's really shabby. The little eunuch couldn't help but start to get anxious when he heard it. How could this be possible? Crown Princess, these 4 beauties were awarded by the emperor. I know they were awarded by the emperor. Didn't I thank him? Shang Ruai frowned slightly. Aren't they here to serve people?
Yes.
Since they're here to serve people, aren't they servants? Am I, the crown prince's concubine, wrong? The little eunuch blinked and smiled bitterly. He was not wrong to say so. Crown Princess, this service is not the same as the service you mentioned. Shang Ruai thought for a moment and suddenly said, I understand what the emperor means. The emperor wants to find a place for these beauties to stay, right? That's right. Mother, Shang Ruai said seriously, there are so many unmarried servants in our mansion. I think their ages are similar to the maids awarded by the emperor. Since the emperor wants to find a place for them to stay, and has found our palace, we must do this job well. The little eunuch was so anxious when he heard this. What's wrong with this crown princess? Why is she getting more and more outrageous? The emperor clearly meant to place these women in the crown prince's room, or in Prince Ding's courtyard. Now that she said this, he actually wanted to give these beauties to servants. Before he took these women out of the palace, Eunuch Zhang specifically instructed them to be extremely polite to the people in Prince Ding's mansion. If they annoyed them, they would lose their heads.
He always kept this in mind.
If he were in other mansions, he would have been annoyed if Shang Ruai interrupted him like this. Princess, the emperor wants to give these beauties to the prince, and the prince, mainly the prince. The prince's wife and the prince have been married for so long without any children, and the emperor is very anxious, so he wants these beauties to give birth to children for the prince. He smiled and said, The emperor has already consulted the imperial physician, and these beauties are in good health and will definitely give birth to children for the prince. Upon hearing this, Shang Ruai stopped playing dumb and sneered. Since they are in such good health, and the emperor thinks they are so beautiful, why doesn't he keep them for himself? It's as if he has many children. As soon as Shang Ruai finished speaking, the little eunuch seemed to be frightened. Princess, you can't say this casually. It's disrespectful, and you will be beheaded. Shang Ruai smiled disdainfully. Does the emperor want to exile me again? The little eunuch smiled bitterly and said, Princess, please don't make it difficult for me. If I can't keep these 4 beauties, I won't be able to report back. If the emperor gets angry, I won't be able to save my head. This was the first time he encountered such a thing. When he went to the minister's house with the emperor's will, who was not respectful, he would also be rewarded with a purse before leaving. Today, he was beaten up from head to toe, and there was no need to think about the reward. Shang Ruai nodded when she heard it. Mother, let's keep these people. She looked at the little eunuch. Eunuch, tell the emperor that we in the Dingwa Palace thank the emperor for his kindness and will never forget it. We will repay the emperor's kindness. Life is too comfortable, so I like to worry about other people's affairs. The young eunuch thought she had come to her senses and was extremely happy. Princess, Crown Prince's consort, I will return to the palace after I finish my work. He turned around and was about to leave, but was stopped by Shang Ruai. Please stay, eunuch. The young eunuch's heart skipped a beat, thinking that she had changed her mind again, and hurriedly said, Does Crown Prince's consort have any other instructions? Nothing, just invite you to have tea. She took out a purse and handed it to him. It's just a little gift. Please don't despise it, eunuch. The young eunuch took it in his hand. It was light and had no weight. He was disdainful in his heart, but he couldn't show it on his face. He smiled and said, Thank you, Crown Prince's consort, for your kindness. After leaving the gate of the palace, he was about to put the purse away. He touched the small round thing in the purse and couldn't help but feel curious. When he took it out and took a look, he couldn't help but gasp. This is actually a dongju. Such a big dongju. He had never even seen it in the palace for so many years, and the Dingwa Palace was actually used as a reward? He looked back at the Dingwa Palace, which had stood for 100 years in Tianshan, and turned back to the palace after a while. Shang Ruai brought the few people back to her own courtyard, walked around them a few times, smiled and said, Where were you all sent from? To answer the crown princess, we are all serving in the presence of the emperor. Oh, in the presence of the emperor. Shang Ruai nodded. Our palace is not like in front of the emperor, where we are often dragged out and beaten or killed. If you want to stay, I will not stop you, but in the Dingwa Palace, you can only do some cleaning chores. If you want to become the master overnight, you should go find that eunuch and ask him to bring you back to the palace. If you can please the emperor, he will promote you to be an official and serve you as a maid. Then you can also be the master. She took a sip of tea and said lightly, Of course, you have another way. That is, when I return to the palace and ask the empress for your indentures, I will let you leave the palace and cancel your status as a. Then you can find a good man and be his wife. Madam? As soon as she finished speaking, the 4 women were surprised and said, Princess, can we really get rid of our slavery? Of course. The 4 looked at each other and knelt on the ground. Thank you, Princess. Please help us get rid of our slavery. Shang Ruai nodded. I will send you to the farm in a while. After we get the slavery back from the palace, you 4 can leave. The 4 of them bowed with gratitude, and Shang Ruai asked Xiaoyao to take the people down and settle them. The next morning, she sent a letter to the queen's palace. The queen also wanted her to treat the little princess, so she summoned her to the palace immediately. Greetings to the empress. The empress waved her hands and said with a smile, We are all family. There is no need to be restrained. Logically, you should follow Jingheng and call me Aunt.
Aunt.
Upon hearing this, the empress smiled happily and immediately took off a bracelet from her wrist and put it on her hand. I haven't been able to give you a gift these 2 times. This bracelet was awarded to me by the Queen Mother on the day I was crowned as the empress. Now I give it to you.
Thank you for the reward, Aunt.
The empress shook her head. It's just a small token of my gratitude, not worth much money. But you have saved me and my children many times. It's just a small favor, not worth mentioning. You are too polite, Aunt. The empress looked at her and liked her more and more. She looked kind and humble on the outside, but in fact, she had a lot of ideas in her heart. But only people like her can truly support the huge Dingwa palace.
What are you here for today?
The queen came straight to the point. If there is nothing, you can go back. I was thinking of taking the princess to sleep for a while. I came here today for the 4 women that the emperor sent to your mansion.
Why?
They are beautiful. So you are worried? The queen looked at her with interest. Could it be that He Jingheng has some thoughts?
No.
Shang Ruai smiled and said, since returning to Beijing, He Jingheng seems to have grown up in the military camp and is nowhere to be seen all day. He has never seen these 4 women. It was my idea. What do you want to do by taking away their indentures? To help them regain their freedom. She smiled and said, life is precious, but love is more precious. If it is for freedom, both can be abandoned. The queen heard this and kept saying this. After a while, she laughed out loud. You little girl, I didn't expect you to be the most insightful person. At this time, a maid came in. My queen, Bishi, who is beside concubine Zhao, came and said that the concubine invites the crown prince's wife to Lanqing Palace for tea. Shang Ruai smiled. My queen, since the concubine has sent the head aunt to invite you, it must be something important. I will go to Lanqing Palace first. The queen nodded. I have asked the small kitchen to prepare food. You must come to eat. Shang Ruai nodded in response. Bishi lowered her eyebrows. The reason why the queen said this was nothing more than to warn the concubine not to touch her. When they arrived at Lanqing Palace, concubine Zhao was sitting in the main seat, as if she had been waiting for a long time. I greet the concubine. Shang Ruai leaned forward slightly, but did not perform a big ceremony. Concubine Zhao sneered. Do you think you can be rude just because you have something on me? Shang Ruai sat directly on the chair and said lightly, although I grew up in the prime minister's house, I have never been taught by my stepmother. My biological mother died early, so naturally there was no one to teach me. After I married into the palace, my father, the king, and my mother were reluctant to blame me. No matter education or rules, they didn't want me to learn anymore. The prince said that he hoped I could be free like now in my life. I don't think I can be in the eyes of the queen with my appearance. Concubine Zhao looked at her like this and said coldly, you said so much. Don't you just want to tell me that you have a backer? Shang Ruai smiled. If the queen says so, then it is. Concubine Zhao gritted her teeth in anger. This little girl is really not a simple person. At this time, the palace servant came to report that the prince came to pay respects. Concubine Zhao frowned, and her eyes fell on Shang Ruai. The prince had never paid respects at this time. Could it be because of her? Let him in. There was a sound of footsteps, and a bright yellow figure hurried in. His eyes fell on Shang Ruai, with a hint of joy in his eyes. Since he knew that she was still he Lingxing valued her even more. In his opinion, Shang Ruai must have been forced to marry because of her father's marriage. He Jingheng knew He Jingheng very well. According to his character, if she was not the one he liked, he would not even touch her. Thinking of this, he looked at Shang Ruai with a more explicit look. Ahem. Concubine Zhao coughed twice. He Lingxing came back to his senses and hurriedly saluted. Mother, your son greets you. Shang Ruai stood up and leaned slightly, without saying a word. It was obviously such a rude behavior. If someone else did this, He Lingxing would have been angry a long time ago, but facing Shang Ruai, he did not have any dissatisfaction. Concubine Zhao looked uneasy and said lightly, why did the prince come at this time? Your son just came out from my father, so I thought of coming to see mother. He Lingxing smiled, and his eyes fell on Shang Ruai. I didn't expect the crown prince's wife to be here too. Even his voice was much softer. Shang Ruai's face did not change. She still lowered her head and said nothing. In fact, she just wanted to roll her eyes. What exactly are these mother and son going to do? I heard that there are many rumors among the people recently. I saw that the crown prince's concubine still looks the same, as if she is not disturbed by the outside world. Shang Ruai sneered. Why should I be afraid of what people say? They can say whatever they want. They have their mouths on their bodies. What can I do? She looked at concubine Zhao. My lady concubine, what do you think? The crown prince's concubine is wrong. Rumors are often the most terrible thing in the world, killing people without being seen. Concubine Zhao said lightly. If not, how could so many people be hurt by rumors and commit suicide? That's right. Shang Rui smiled. I just don't know what the person who spread the rumors is trying to do, but no matter what it is, it doesn't matter. Our Dingwa Palace has been living in rumors and discussions for 100 years since the day it was established. Otherwise, it would not have been unjustly exiled. Her words made concubine Zhao and He Lingxing not know how to continue. After all, the person who asked them to be exiled was the emperor. Shang Rui looked at the prince and said suddenly, I heard that the First Lady and Shang Yufu are both in the prince's mansion. That's right. That's great. When Jingheng is free some other day, my husband and I may have to go to your mansion to bother you for a while. She had a smile on her face, but her eyes were extremely cold. Some accounts are better settled face to face. He Lingxing's heart sank. Could it be that she knew something? Concubine Zhao frowned. She knew her son best. He Lingxing's thoughts were almost written on his face. She had never seen her son so warm to any woman. He Lingxing was called to the imperial study again by the eunuch beside the emperor not long after he sat down. Whenever concubine Zhao thought of He Lingxing's eyes on Shang Rui, she couldn't help but feel angry. Shang Rui is the consort of Prince Ding. No matter what, she cannot marry into the Eastern Palace. If others tell others about it, it will be that the prince has taken his wife away. This kind of infamy will be a stain on his life. When he ascends the throne in the future, he will be ridiculed by the ministers and the people. She looked at Shang Rui with a murderous look. This woman must not be kept. If she is not killed, she will definitely be a disaster in the future. Shang Rui is very sensitive to murderous intent. She has noticed concubine Zhao's thoughts early on, but she doesn't know how she has offended her. Last time she paid homage, she had the intention to kill herself, but not as strong as now. At this moment, she wished she could get rid of herself immediately. Concubine Zhao winked at Bishi, and Bishi retreated. At this time, there were only the two of them left in the palace. When did you find out? Concubine Zhao said in a deep voice. Your Majesty, are you talking about your pregnancy? Shang Rui picked up the teacup beside her and said with a smile, When I came last time, your Majesty still had old tea. Today you have changed it to new tea, and it is really fragrant. You are asking even though you know the answer. Concubine Zhao said coldly, I don't like people like you who pretend to be smart. Shang Rui smiled. Same for you, I don't like your Majesty that much either. Concubine Zhao's expression was cold, and she said angrily, You are really brave. Just looking at your Majesty's belly, you naturally can't tell the month of the child, but I am different from others. I can see many things that others can't see. Shang Rui raised an evil smile at the corner of her lips. Do you believe it? She really knew. Concubine Zhao felt a chill rushing to the top of her head. Why did this girl have an evil aura? Don't try to scare me with such weird things. Concubine Zhao said angrily. What do you think this palace is? You can do whatever you want. I just said it casually. Why are you so serious, madam? Concubine Zhao looked at her coldly. At this moment, Xiaoyao stepped forward and said softly, Madam, your dress is dirty. Concubine Zhao looked at the dirt on her sleeves and whispered, I was so focused on chatting with the prince's wife that I didn't notice that my dress was dirty. She looked at Shang Rui. The prince's wife, please wait here, I will be back soon. Shang Rui continued to drink tea. It must be said that today's tea is indeed very fragrant. She took a sip, and the fragrance of the tea filled her mouth. After a moment, she said lightly, Since you are here, why are you still timid?
He.
A weird laugh appeared around her. Shang Rui's expression did not change, and she continued to drink tea. Suddenly, she heard a movement in her ears, and she quickly made a move, and a silver needle flew out. TSK, 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 you are really ruthless, little girl. An old man in a gray robe walked out slowly. Shang Rui narrowed her eyes slightly. I didn't expect to meet someone from southern Xinjiang here. Hearing this, the man was stunned for a moment, and his voice was cold. How did you know? Hee hee. Shang Ruai smiled. You have a total of 8 porcelain bottles on you, and each porcelain bottle contains 1 to 4 poisonous insects. Am I right? How did you know? He covered the bag on his body. Did you secretly look at it sometime? How I know it doesn't seem to be important. Important, the old man said angrily. When did you turn over my poisonous bag? If it gets out, where will I put my face? Shang Ruai rolled his eyes at him. Who turned over your broken bag? Then how did you know?
Guess.
She curled the corners of her lips slightly. I was born with supernatural power. I can tell what you have just by looking at you. Nonsense. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? Since you think I'm talking nonsense, it means I don't want to tell you, so why are you asking? Shang Ruai glanced at him. If I don't want to tell you, no matter how you ask, I have hundreds of excuses. The old man stared at her angrily and muttered, Fortunately, I haven't married in this life. Women are really troublesome. Shang Ruai smiled, looked at him, and said with a smile, I don't think you are poor.
You still have so much banknotes on you.
You can't marry a wife. I think it's because you are too ugly. She finished speaking. The old man's eyes widened. How did you know I had banknotes on me? And you said you didn't peek. I told you that I have supernatural powers, but you don't believe it. Shang Ruai's words were so mysterious that the old man didn't believe it. Concubine Zhao asked you to kill me, but you are here chatting with me. Now you are in the concubine's palace. Aren't you afraid of her blame? Humph. I am the #1 killer in southern Xinjiang. Killing a little kid like you is a piece of cake. Besides, how do you know I was just chatting with you? He smiled, took out a porcelain bottle from his arms, poured out the poisonous insect in the porcelain bottle and put it in his hand. Is the tea you just drunk particularly fragrant? Shang Ruai nodded. It's just a few drops of poisonous insect blood. It does have the effect of enhancing the fragrance. The old man was about to raise the corner of his lips, but stopped suddenly. You know? Shang Ruai smiled and nodded. You know that, but you still drink? I am immune to all poisons, including poisonous insects. Shang Ruai slowly stood up and said lightly, If this is the only trick you have, I'm afraid you will be the one walking out of here sideways today. Little kid, you are talking nonsense. Aren't you afraid of getting your tongue bitten by the wind? At this moment, a smell of tar came, and Shang Ruai frowned. Before she could say anything, she saw several huge fireballs rolling in. The main hall was full of furnishings made of wood, and the tung oil on it was instantly ignited when it came into contact with the flames, and the whole main hall turned into a sea of fire in an instant. What's going on? The gray-clothed old man wanted to break out of the door, but the fire was too big, and he couldn't get through. Concubine Zhao, you actually dared to plot against me. When I get out alive, cough, 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 I must cough, 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 I must chop you into pieces and feed you to the dogs. Shang Ruai's eyes deepened slightly. She took out a mask from the space and put it on her face, instantly isolating the thick smoke and heat generated by the fire. She originally wanted to hide directly in the space, but when she thought of the old man saying that he was the #1 killer in southern Xinjiang, although there was a bit of self-praise in it, he must be extraordinary to be asked by concubine Zhao to kill him. It would be a pity to die like this. If he could be used by her, it would be a good thing. After all, her Suzaka still needs a master. Through the mask, Shang Ruai saw the old man who was almost unconscious due to the smoke, and walked over quickly. Cough, cough, cough. At this time, the palace was filled with smoke, and the doors and windows were still closed. If she didn't go out, she would either be choked to death or burned to death. At this moment, a person appeared in her sight. Follow me quickly. The fire in Launching Palace quickly attracted everyone's attention. He Jinghun was in the military camp when he received the news. What did you say? Prince, when the fire broke out in Launching Palace, the crown prince's wife was inside. A guard said in a deep voice, Now the fire has been put out, the crown prince's wife. Whereabouts are unknown. What do you mean by whereabouts are unknown? He stood up, his eyes full of anger. Tell this prince, what do you mean by whereabouts are unknown? At this moment, Yun Tian walked in hurriedly. Prince, the main hall of Launching Palace has collapsed. He Jingheng didn't care about anything else and walked out quickly. When he reached the door of the tent, he staggered and almost tripped. Prince. Yun Tian hurriedly supported him. No problem. After saying that, he flew towards the palace. At this time, outside the launching palace, concubine Zhao leaned on the emperor's arms in fear and shock, looking at the palace that had become a ruin with sad eyes. Your Majesty, I am almost scared to death. Don't be afraid, my beloved concubine. I am here. The emperor held her hand a little tighter. Are you really not injured? I went to change clothes and was not in the palace, but Prince Ding's concubine, she is waiting for me in the palace. Concubine Zhao covered her lips and said, Will it be? Upon hearing this, Emperor Tianshun frowned slightly. I have sent someone to look for her and wait for news. He looked at her bulging belly and comforted her. You go to the side hall to rest, and let the guards of the inner palace do the work of finding Prince Ding's concubine. The queen frowned, and she suppressed the anger in her voice. Didn't concubine Zhao say that she wanted to talk to Roy? How could this happen? How are you going to explain to the Prince Ding's palace? I didn't know this would happen, Queen. I am innocent. She started to cough. At this moment, He Lingxing came hurriedly and looked at the ruins. At this moment, a pillar collapsed with a loud. Sparks flew all over the sky. He stepped back and almost fell to the ground. What on earth is going on? How could there be a fire? Where was she when the fire started? Did she leave?
Sheng'e.
Concubine Zhao's voice came. He Lingxing came back to his senses and found that his father and mother were standing not far away. Your son pays respects to the emperor and the empress, and to mother. Come here quickly. Concubine Zhao waved her hand and said, It's dangerous there. He Lingxing walked to Concubine Zhao and whispered, I'm sorry to have frightened mother. Concubine Zhao shook her head. It's okay.
Mother was not in the palace at that time.
She went back to the bedroom to change clothes. It's just that Prince Ding's wife was waiting for me in the main hall at that time. I don't know how she is now. When Concubine Zhao said this, she looked at He Lingxing without blinking, afraid to miss the slightest expression on his face. What? Shang Ruai is there? He Lingxing looked suddenly at the ruins, his pupils trembling. Just as he was about to move, he heard Emperor Tianshun say in a deep voice, I have asked the guards to search as much as possible. It all depends on her life. At this moment, a figure fell from the sky and landed in front of everyone. Just rely on fate? He Jingheng said in a cold voice. Your Majesty wants to cover up this matter with such a casual remark? He Jingheng, you are so brave that you dare to use light skills to enter the palace. Where is my wife? He Jingheng said in a cold voice. Mentioning Shang Ruai, Emperor Tianshun frowned slightly and whispered, There was a fire in the palace, and she was trapped in the ruins. I have ordered people to look for her. I believe there will be results soon. Looked for her? How to look for her? He Jingheng clenched his fists, and the veins on the back of his hands burst out. Your Majesty means that if we find a body, it will be considered as a task? Hearing the word task, Emperor Tianshun said in a deep voice, He Jingheng, don't take advantage of my respect for your Dinghua Palace, and do whatever you want. Respect? He Jingheng sneered. How can you say respect? Your Majesty's respect means listening to slander and exiling our Dingu Palace? Or letting tens of thousands of soldiers bury their bones in Qijing Pass? Or now, my wife is missing in the palace? Your Majesty's respect, I can't bear it. You are rebelling. You actually talk to me like this. You are disobedient. Disobedient. He Jingheng looked at him coldly, without saying a word, but the meaning could be seen from his eyes. That is, what if I disobeyed? Emperor Tianxuan's face was livid. He Jingheng did not look at him again, but came to the ruins. Prince, it's still a little dangerous here. You go to the back and wait. He Jingheng shook his head and continued to walk into the ruins. Prince. He Jingheng, you roll back to me. Emperor Tianshun said angrily. I thought that even if He Jingheng didn't come back, he would not move forward again, but he seemed to have heard nothing at all and continued to walk inside with firm steps. Emperor Tianshun gritted his teeth. If Shang Ruai had an accident in the palace, he could still use an accident to shut up the Dingwa palace. If He Jingheng had an accident again, he was afraid that the Dingwa palace would really rebel. At this time, the Ding Wang and his wife got the news that Shang Ruai was killed in the palace, and they rushed to the palace, without stopping. When the two of them arrived, hundreds of palace guards were lying around He Jingheng, including several highly skilled secret guards. These secret guards were all around the emperor, and their martial arts were needless to say, but they were still no match for He Jingheng. Today he was really ruthless, and anyone who dared to stop him was beaten half to death by him. Seeing this, concubine Zhao exclaimed, "Your Majesty, this Prince Ding is crazy. He actually did such a rebellious thing in the palace. He is rebelling." "Rebellion? Shut up." Emperor Tianshun whispered. "The Dingwang Palace is different from other aristocratic families. If you really annoy them, the consequences will be disastrous. You are a woman in the harem. What are you doing here talking too much?" As soon as he finished speaking, the eunuch beside him came over. "My lady concubine, please go to the side hall to rest first. The smoke here is heavy. Don't let it smoke you." Seeing that the emperor had no intention of punishing him severely, concubine Zhao had to leave even though she was unwilling. Just after He Jingheng knocked down the last guard, he turned around and continued to walk inside. "Jingheng." Princess Ding of Prince Ding walked forward quickly and saluted to Emperor Tianshun. "Your Highness." Princess Ding walked directly to the ruins. At this moment, a huge wooden board fell down and was about to hit Princess Ding. "Princess, be careful." Upon hearing this, He Jingheng hurriedly flew forward and took his mother away. "Jingheng." Princess Ding grabbed his arm, and just when everyone thought she would worry about He Jingheng, she heard her say, "Where is Ruoi? Where is Ruoi? Your son didn't find her." They all knew that the launching palace had become a ruin. If Shang Ruoi really didn't escape at that time, she would have been burned to death, and there would be no possibility of survival.
Impossible. Impossible.
Princess Ding's hands trembled. How could she die? I don't believe it either. He Jingheng looked at the ruins. At this moment, a screen caught his attention. The screen was made of jade, so it was not damaged. There were a few marks on it that looked familiar. If you don't look carefully, you will just think it was the mark of something hitting it. At this moment, he suddenly thought of the graphic code she used when training Suzaku. "Yunchi, I'm here." Yunchi walked quickly to his side, and when he saw the sign, his eyes lit up. He lowered his voice and said, "The crown prince's concubine is fine." He Jingheng's hanging heart finally settled, but his face did not show any expression. At this moment, concubine Zhao walked out of the side hall. She said hesitantly, "It's my fault. If I hadn't called her to talk, this wouldn't have happened." He Jingheng said coldly, "I really don't know what the queen wants to say to my wife." At this point, he was unwilling to hide anything anymore and didn't care about face at all. The royal concubine has always been at odds with our Dingwa palace. The queen should not say that it is because she feels that she is congenial to Ruai. Such excuses may be used to coax a 3-year-old child, but I am not 3 years old anymore. Royal concubine Zhao looked a little ugly. She didn't expect that he would do this for a woman and disregard the face of the royal family. Wasn't she afraid that the emperor would be angry and punish the Dingwa palace? "Have you found the cause of the fire?" The emperor said coldly. "Your Majesty, in the morning, the imperial concubine said that it was a little hot in the palace, so she asked a few servants to carry the charcoal down. The eunuchs saw that the charcoal fire was extinguished, so they lazily moved to the side window. However, the charcoal fire used in the imperial concubine's palace was all silver charcoal. When the charcoal was ignited, only heat could be felt, but no flames could be seen. The charcoal basin ignited the curtains by the window, and the sparks fell into the palace. In order to prevent insects from eating, the imperial concubine's palace was brushed with special tung oil a few days ago. If the tung oil is exposed to the sun for a long time, it will not catch fire. However, the sky has been cloudy these days, and the tung oil floats on the surface. The whole palace will instantly become a sea of fire." Upon hearing this, Princess Ding cried even harder. Knowing that she was murdered was already heartbreaking, and hearing that she died in such a miserable way was even more unacceptable, and she fainted directly. Seeing this, Prince Ding hurriedly sent Princess Ding back to the palace. He Jingheng did not leave, but continued to send people to search. For several days in a row, they had searched the ruins thoroughly, but still could not find any clues. Concubine Zhao stood in the distance, looking at the busy guards and launching palace, and whispered, "Bishi, is there still no news about the killer from southern Xinjiang?" "Your Majesty, no." Bishi whispered, "Your Majesty, will the killer also be buried in the Sea of Fire?" "Humph, I was going to let him die here." Concubine Zhao sneered. "A mere killer dares to ask me for so much reward. Why should I keep him alive? Besides, he is a killer, not a dead man. He knows my identity, which is equivalent to giving me an extra handle in his hand. Such a person must not be kept. Your Majesty is smart." Concubine Zhao sneered. "When I truly become more powerful than 10,000 people, the world will be in my hands. Before that, I will get rid of all those who pose a threat to me." She curled the corners of her lips slightly, her eyes full of greed. "Your Majesty is right. The princess of Prince Ding is ungrateful. If she is willing to work for Your Majesty will certainly not treat her unfairly." Concubine Zhao smiled and said, "Of course, I gave her face, but she refused. She even threatened me with the fetus in her belly. I can only take her life. After all, only the dead can truly keep secrets." Bishi's pupils shrank when she heard this. She had done so many things for her. Would Your Majesty want to shut her up one day? What did the prince say when he summoned you to the East Palace recently? She whispered, "Watch your mouth. Do you understand?" "Don't worry, Your Majesty. His Highness called me over just to ask some trivial questions that don't matter." Bishi shuddered and said softly, "Don't worry, Your Majesty. I know my limits." Concubine Zhao touched her belly. After a while, she would have to find an excuse for the child to be born unexpectedly. Her eyes fell on the ruins in the distance, and her lips curled up slightly. "Since you're dead, I'll use your soul." "What? Soul?" "Your Majesty." Bishi's voice trembled slightly. "What do you mean by soul?"
Come closer.
Concubine Zhao whispered a few words in Bishi's ear. "Your Majesty is wise." Bishi said with a smile, "Your Majesty, rest assured. I will make sure to arrange this matter properly when the time comes." After searching for a few more days, there was still no clue. He Jingheng had to leave the palace. When he returned to the palace, he was disheveled and unshaven. The servant at the door almost didn't recognize him. His miserable appearance was not much better than when he was about to go to war. "Prince?" He Jingheng had just returned to the mansion and had not had time to drink a sip of water when he was called over by Qin. "Mother." Qin looked at his appearance, hurriedly stood up and greeted him, choking and saying, "Where is Ruoi?"
"Still can't find it."
Qin's tears could not stop falling, and Hyuni also cried and said, Sister-in-law is so powerful. How could she encounter such a thing?" He Jingheng didn't say anything, just stood there with his head down. Really no hope?" He Jingheng still didn't speak, shaking his head. Qin fell down on the chair. "Yes, so many days have passed. If the person is still alive, they will be found no matter what. The world is unfair." Qin said with tears in her eyes, "Ruai saved our entire palace. She protected the people of Qingzhou and treated so many people. The world is unfair. In the end, she ended up like this." She slapped the table angrily. "The last time I entered the palace, I swore that everything would be taken care of by Mother and told her not to worry. Now, she has ended up like this. It was Mother who failed to protect her well. Mother, there are a lot of things going on in the military camp recently, so your son will go to the camp first." Jingheng. No matter how she called He Jingheng's name, he did not stop. This child, Ruai, has been missing for so long, but he is not worried at all, and even went to the military camp. What did he go to the military camp for? "Mother, don't you understand your brother's temper?" Hyuni wiped the tears from her face. "He has been looking for her in Launching Palace for so long. He must have tried his best. He must be the saddest person about his sister-in-law's disappearance. She didn't know how long it had been since she saw such an overly calm brother. He Jingheng rode back to the camp at full speed. Prince, is there any news about the crown prince's wife? Yuntian shook his head and said in a low voice, Yunqi hasn't received it either. He Jingheng frowned slightly. Are there any unusual movements in the army? Yuntian thought for a while and replied, It's not a big deal, but some people are talking about it in private. He looked at He Jingheng, hesitant to speak.
Speak.
It is said that the prince is blinded by and even gave up 100,000 troops for a woman. He Jingheng paused. Where did this come from? Deputy General Hu Chong said it a few days ago. Yun Tian said coldly, I have warned him, and he will never dare to talk nonsense again. Send someone to keep an eye on him. Prince, don't worry, he will never say it again. Do we still need someone to keep an eye on him? Keep an eye on him. A dark shadow flashed outside the tent, as if it had never been there. On the way to Qingzhou, 3 horses flew past. Finally arrived at a town. We have walked all night. Let's rest here for a night. Ling Feng said with a smile. Although this town is not big, there are several shops with delicious food. Shang Ruoi nodded. I just happen to be a little hungry. The gray-clothed old man said angrily. I won't go. You quickly give me the antidote, and let me go. Shang Ruoi smiled. Don't you want to learn poison techniques from me? Yes. If you leave now, how can you learn poison techniques? The gray-clothed old man snorted coldly. Then I won't learn. Give me the antidote. Shang Ruoi shook her head. I'm afraid that won't work.
Why?
The poison I gave you uses. Give me the antidote. Shang Ruoi shook her head. I'm afraid that won't work.
Why?
The poison I gave you uses several very precious poisonous herbs. Since you have eaten my poison, you have to pay for it. How much silver? Not much, only 100,000 taels. The old man who was drinking water from a water bag sprayed it out. How much? 100,000 taels. You are robbing the silver. He covered his pocket. You little girl has bad intentions. The old man thinks you have made up your mind to take my bank. Life is precious, but love is more precious. If it's for freedom, both can be thrown away. Shang Ruoi said with a smile. What do you think? The gray-clothed old man waved his hand. Without money, how can you be free? Several people stopped in front of an inn. Ling Feng was no longer surprised by the quarrels along the way, and said with a smile, Let's stay here tonight. Hearing this, the gray-clothed old man threw away the reins and walked straight into the store. Several people ordered a few signature dishes. The beef in the shop is very fragrant, the braised mushrooms are also very delicious, and the lotus leaf chicken is also very delicious. You should try it. Shang Ruoi took a few bites and said with a smile, Brother Ling Feng, do you know this place well? This place is not far from Xiling. I used to come here often. Ling Feng's eyes fell on the gray-clothed old man who was picking and choosing. Are these dishes not to your taste? The gray-clothed old man nodded. That's it. Just eat it as long as you don't feel hungry. Anyway, I don't have to pay for it. Shang Ruoi raised her eyebrows when she heard this. She didn't expect him to be so picky. However, this gave her a new idea. In the evening, she returned to the space, opened a few dongju clams, and made a plate of stir-fried clams. The gray-clothed old man didn't eat much in the evening. When he was about to go out to find something to eat, he smelled a fragrance coming over. What smells so good? Old man. Shang Ruoi shook the plate in her hand. Are you hungry? The gray-clothed old man swallowed his saliva. What did you take? Of course, it's a secret recipe. She smiled. Would you like to have some wine and a few bites? You won't ask me for money to eat this. The gray-clothed old man paused and said vigilantly, Old man, I don't have that much money to give you. If it's an outsider, of course you have to spend money, but this time I'm giving it to you, so you don't have to pay. She put the plate on the table. The old man in gray wanted to wait a while longer, but seeing that she had already sat down and was ready to eat, he hurried after her. Wait. He picked up the chopsticks, picked up a piece, and put it in his mouth. The next moment, his eyes suddenly widened, and he looked at the clam meat on the plate in shock. What is this? It's so delicious. If it's said to be an exclusive secret recipe, it wouldn't be called an exclusive secret recipe if it could be passed on so easily. Shang Ruai poured a glass of wine. The taste is even better when paired together. The old man in gray listened to what she said and drank the wine in the glass. Good wine. Good food. What a delight. He took another bite, looked at Shang Ruai, smiled, and said, "Little girl, what do you want to ask? I can help you solve your doubts while I'm in a good mood. Since you are the #1 killer in southern Xinjiang, what should I call you?" "My surname is Yi. Senior Yi." Old Yi took another chopstick and saw that the plate of clam meat was almost finished. "What's the matter? Do you like the dishes I made?" Old Yi smiled and nodded continuously. "It's delicious. It's been many years since I have eaten such delicious food." "Do you want to eat it every day?" "Of course." Shang Ruai smiled and said, "If you are willing to go back with me, I promise to cook it for you." She pointed to the plate of clam meat and said, "This dish is nothing to me. I can make better ones." "What are they?" "The secret cannot be revealed." She smiled mysteriously. "Just remember, there is nothing I can't do." Hearing her say this, Yi Lao couldn't help but hesitate. 500,000 taels.
Deal.
Shang Ruai was slightly stunned. It turned out that she was a money grubber. If she had known that she could solve it with silver, why did she bother to cook clam meat here? Where is the antidote? The antidote. Shang Ruai smiled. 600,000 taels.
Puff.
Cough, cough, cough. Yi Lao was shocked. "You little girl, are you crazy about silver?" 600,000 taels. His voice was a little loud, attracting many people's attention. Several people at one of the tables looked at them for a long time before retracting their gazes. Yi Lao looked at the empty plate, smacked his lips, and looked at her resentfully. This girl was so stingy. Why couldn't she make more? She was not full at all. "You said that if I surrender to you, you will cook these delicacies for me every day?" "I can't guarantee every day, but most of the time, it's okay." He pinched his beard. "Who made you so suitable for my taste?" After finalizing this matter, Shang Ruai and Yi Lao returned to the room of the inn. At night, Shang Ruai, who was originally asleep, suddenly opened her eyes. At this time, the bolt made a slight sound. It seemed that someone wanted to break in again. Let her come and see who is blind? Not long after, the door was gently opened from the outside, and a figure walked in lightly. Shang Ruai waved her hand casually, and a gray wolf appeared in the room. The man just took a step, and his footsteps suddenly stopped. I saw a pair of eyes appeared in front of me, green and oily, which were not human eyes at all. This is a wolf. Instinctively, he wanted to run, and at this moment, a huge force threw him to the ground. The next moment, the candlelight in the room lit up, and he saw a huge gray wolf right above him, with its claws on his body. "Help! Help! Help!" At this moment, he couldn't even shout. He was afraid that the wolf would be enraged and bite him to death. "You are so brave. You dare to break into my room." Shang Ruai yawned. "Stay and make snacks for my wolf." Lady, I know I was wrong, and I won't dare to do it again." He trembled and said, Please let me go." Shang Ruai walked forward slowly, without saying a word. "Female Bodhisattva, I really know I was wrong." Female Bodhisattva? This title reminded her of her teammates in her previous life, who kept these 3 words on their lips every day. "What did you do in my room late at night?" He smiled awkwardly. "I'm just a petty thief. I heard the girl talking to the old man outside about 600,000 taels, so I thought of coming in to steal something." "A petty thief?" Shang Ruai looked at the dagger on his waist, and her lips curled slightly. "You, a petty thief, are really rich. There are probably not many daggers made of Tianshan black iron in the whole Tianshan." The man lay on the ground, looking at Shang Ruai with a slightly changed look, and put away the cynical look on his face. "You actually know me."
"So, who are you?"
The man's eyes flickered, and he moved his hand, drew out the dagger, and was about to chop at the gray wolf. The Wolf King had already noticed his action and dodged nimbly. "Humph! Just a wolf. You want to trap me." He jumped up from the ground. "My knife has no eyes." Shang Ruai smiled when she heard it. The Tianshan black iron is indeed very good, but… She took out a dagger from behind. Compared with my dagger, you are still far behind. Her dagger is made of fine steel. No matter what kind of black iron it is not its match. The man looked at the gleaming dagger in her hand. His eyes narrowed slightly. Who is better? We will know after a comparison. His eyes were full of arrogance, and he rushed straight over with the dagger. Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips slightly and just blocked it casually. After a ding sound, the dagger in his hand broke into two pieces. He looked at the remaining half of the dagger in his hand in shock and murmured, "My knife, my knife. My Tianshan black iron."
He looked like he was about to cry.
On the other hand, the dagger in Shang Ruai's hand was not damaged at all. How is this possible? You broke my dagger. You have to pay for it. Shang Ruai smiled. What do you want to pay with? Silver? His eyes fell on the dagger in Shang Ruai's hand. Humph, mine is Tianshan black iron, which is extremely precious and cannot be bought with silver. Just use your dagger to pay for it. Shang Ruai looked at him leisurely. I see that you don't seem to understand the situation. You are a little thief. You don't sleep in the middle of the night and run into my room. If I report you to the police, I don't know what punishment you'll be sentenced to. You even want me to use my dagger to pay for your broken knife. What are you thinking? What broken knife? What broken knife? Mine is Tianshan black iron. So, what about Tianshan black iron? It's just a broken knife. He gritted his teeth. I don't care. You broke my dagger, so you have to pay for it. Shang Ruai looked at him and acted like a rogue in front of her, and sneered. You still have the mood to think about your broken knife. You should worry about yourself. My wolf has been hungry for several days. Shang Ruai finished speaking. The Wolf King looked at him with a fiercer look. The man swallowed his saliva and said, It's just a wolf. Do you really think I can't beat it? Shang Ruai smiled and said, Really? Then what about this? The next moment, two white tigers walked out. He couldn't move at all. How could he beat them? He took a few steps back and wanted to rush out of the door, but suddenly he had no strength left in his body and collapsed to the ground. You poison me? Shang Ruai smiled. What about poisoning? You, a grown man, came to the room of a weak woman like me in the middle of the night. You can do such a shameless thing. Isn't it normal for me to poison you, weak woman? He said loudly. Auntie, how are you weak? Have you ever seen a weak woman who keeps so many of these things? I, a weak woman, do keep them. Shang Ruai glanced at him. Isn't it? Yes, he said embarrassedly. Auntie, I know I was wrong, and I won't dare to do it again. Please forgive me. I am just a petty thief who does some sneaky things on weekdays. In the future, I will change my ways and never do such things again.
Petite thief?
The man nodded like a chick pecking at rice when he heard the words. Yes, I am just a petty thief. Shang Ruai walked to his side and grabbed his clothes. The man hurriedly said, Wait a minute. What are you going to do, young lady? I usually only rob people for money, not women. Shang Ruai gave him a cold look. You have to be worthy of being robbed, because your appearance is really unsightly. The man couldn't help but say, Why am I unsightly? Shut up, Shang Ruai whispered. If you keep talking nonsense like this, I will feed you to the tiger. She touched the fabric of his clothes, and it was indeed Luguangjin. This Luguangjin was produced in the western regions, and only the royal family of the western regions could use it. It was priceless. If anyone got 1 or 2 pieces, they would treasure them. How could they be willing to make it into a nightgown? It can be seen from this that the identity of this man is definitely not simple.
Who are you?
Shang Ruai said coldly. If you don't tell the truth. She took out a porcelain bottle, and in the bottle was a poisonous insect. I will feed this poisonous insect into your mouth. This poisonous insect likes to eat human hearts the most. It will slowly crawl to your heart and eat your heart whole, 1 bite at a time. Her voice combined with her actions scared the man lying on the ground half to death. You. How can you be so cruel, woman? People who can't beat me say that I'm cruel. You. Shang Ruai said in a low voice with a faint expression. I will only give you one last chance. Who are you? The man looked at him and whispered. If I tell you, will you let me go?
No.
Shang Ruai shook her head. But if you don't tell me, I will kill you. He gritted his teeth. You woman, you are really cold-blooded. He whispered. I am the 7th prince of the Western regions. 7th prince? Exactly. A smug smile rose on his face. Are you scared? If you are scared, let this prince go quickly, otherwise. Before he finished speaking, he heard Shang Ruai say slowly, the 7th prince of the Western regions, Juanxi, his biological mother was a close-knit maid beside the emperor of the Western regions. He is the most unpopular prince in the palace. Am I right? With every word she said, Juanxi's face darkened. How do you know so much about what's going on in the palace? Shang Ruai smiled. You don't have to worry about that. She looked at Juanxi. It seems that the rumors are not credible. As soon as she finished speaking, Juanxi's face changed suddenly. What do you mean? Nothing. Shang Ruai put away the porcelain bottle and threw him a pill. He grabbed it in his hand and asked suspiciously, What is this? Antidote. He swallowed it hurriedly. Seeing his actions, Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing. Aren't you afraid that I will poison you again? Juanxi was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and subconsciously tried to dig it out from his throat. Stop, stop, stop. It is undoubtedly the antidote. Shang Ruai said with some disgust. As a prince, why are you so rude? What's wrong with being rude? It's better than dying. Feeling that his body's energy had recovered a little, he sat up from the ground, but he couldn't stand up no matter what. Is your antidote spoiled? This is half an antidote. Juanxi, when will you give this prince the other half? When did I say I would give you the other half of the antidote? She said lightly. Since you didn't answer my doubts, why should I give you the antidote? What else do you want to ask? What exactly do you want to do here? Juanxi's eyes flashed slightly and he whispered. Why else? This prince said for silver. Then what do you want the silver for? Who would complain about having too much silver? Juanxi glanced at her. Don't you like silver? Shang Ruai smiled. I don't have any concept of silver. After she finished speaking, she took out a brocade box and said lightly, If I need silver, I can just exchange it for this. Juanxi snorted coldly. How much can your broken box hold? How much can it hold if it is full of gold? Shang Ruai opened the box, which was full of oriental pearls, purple and gold, each as big as a pigeon egg. Juanxi swallowed his words instantly. His eyes were fixed on the brocade box in her hand, unable to move away for a long time. If it was exchanged for silver, it would probably fill up the room. Do you want this broken box?
Juanxi nodded subconsciously.
How about this? If you are willing to be my bodyguard, this broken box, I will give you. Are you serious? Of course. A gentleman's word is as good as gold. Shang Ruai's eyes lit up, her lips curled slightly, and she threw a pill to him. Juanxi swallowed the pill directly, and his body's strength was instantly restored. Where are you going? Western regions. You are from Tianshan. Why are you going to the Western regions? Shang Ruai smiled. Then you, a prince of the Western regions, what are you doing in Tianshan? Juanxi smacked his lips. This prince just wants to travel around. So does this girl. Shang Ruai put away the brocade box. Juanxi patted the dirt off his body, and just as he was about to get up, he heard a few low roars. He was so scared that he sat down again. Annie, can you let these pets of yours go back first? They look creepy. It's okay. As long as you don't provoke them, they will be annoyed even if they look at you for one more time. This prince is romantic and suave. How can they find me annoying? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw the 3 big ones surrounding him glanced at him with great disgust and turned to lie down beside him. Juanxi felt insulted and wanted to get angry, but he didn't dare. I say, you are not attracted to this prince and want to be his concubine, so you asked me to be your bodyguard, right? Shang Ruai sneered. Look at yourself. Are you worthy? What's more, I'm already married. She waved her hand, and the door was shaken open by a strong force. Wait in front of my door before dawn tomorrow.
Why?
Shang Ruai glanced at him coldly. What is a bodyguard, do you know? I didn't ask you to guard the door, which is very considerate of your status. Hearing this, Junshi glared at her and turned away angrily. Shang Ruai looked at his back as he left, her eyes deep. Junshi left the inn, and the sloppy look just now disappeared in an instant. Walking across the street, several men in black appeared around him. Master. Master, your clothes are dirty. Junshi looked at the mark on his body, which was left by the wolf just now. The man in black took out a new robe made of flowing brocade. Their master had a serious obsession with cleanliness. Dirty clothes must be changed immediately and never worn a second time. You go back to the western region first, don't wait for me. Master, no, your safety is the most important. Nothing. He looked at the flowing brocade and whispered, find me some clothes made of ordinary fabrics. From tomorrow, I will be a bodyguard.
What?
Their master is a bodyguard? So from tomorrow, you don't have to be by my side. That woman can tame so many beasts, and her internal strength is so profound. She must not be an ordinary person. What's more, she has what she needs. Master, the poisonous insect. I haven't got it yet. The old man doesn't have the poisonous insect I want. But the poisonous insect on the woman is very similar to the one that my mother was infected with. Junshi said in a deep voice, how is the mother? The queen is sometimes awake and sometimes asleep, and her condition is not good. I know, he whispered. From today on, if I don't contact you, don't come to find me, understand? Yes. The next morning, before dawn, Junshi came to her door and waited. When Ling Feng came to find her, his eyes fell on Junshi, and his pupils shrank slightly. Why is the seventh prince here? At this time, Shang Ruai came out of the room, looked at him, and said with a smile, this is my new guard. Ling Feng's face was extremely wonderful when he heard it. He didn't want to be a good prince, but came to be a guard? He smiled awkwardly. I am Ling Feng.
Yunsi.
Very good. He didn't even bother to change his name. Shang Ruai saw that Ling Feng's face was a little unnatural, and she knew that he recognized Junshi's identity. After a simple breakfast, Yi Lao shook his head. I slept very deeply last night. Why am I more dizzy now? Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing when she heard it. What Yi Lao said is like being hit by a magic incense. Junshi couldn't help but look a little unnatural when he heard her words. It was indeed he who put the magic incense, and the dosage was very large. If it weren't for Yi Lao's profound internal strength, he would have to sleep for a whole day and night today. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at Shang Ruai with some suspicion. With the same dosage, she was not affected at all. If we walk for another day today, we will be able to enter the western region. Ling Feng smiled. If we walk faster and enter the city before dark, we can catch up with the auction tomorrow. Auction? That's right. Ling Feng nodded and said, this auction is held in Shanheng. Shanheng? Shang Ruai said meaningfully. Then I have to go and see my old friend. Ling Feng smiled. If Mr. Qian sees you, he will be very happy. Mr. Yi curled his lips. It's just an auction. What's there to go to? You don't know. This Shanheng auction is held only once every 5 years on a huge scale. All kinds of natural treasures can be seen. People from the 4 countries will gather here. It's very lively. Shang Ruai found it very interesting when she heard it, and immediately decided to go there no matter what. Finally, she arrived at the city before dark. Tianyun Casino is right here. Ling Feng brought a few people to the Liu family. Lu Mingzhou hurriedly came forward and said, Young master, who are these people? Master Liu, how are you? Hearing the familiar voice, Lu Mingzhou couldn't help but exclaimed, Divine Dr. Lingjun? Seeing her change back into women's clothes, Lu Mingzhou smiled and said, I thought you looked familiar, but I didn't expect it was really you. Master Liu knew I was a woman? He smiled. I knew it when I saw you in the casino that day. You are Master Lingjun? The divine doctor? Jun, she said in surprise. Why, you don't look like him. Shang Ruai smiled. Why are you so surprised? Jun Shi's face was full of joy, and he hurriedly said, Divine doctor, I have something to ask of you. What is it? This is not the place to talk.
Yunzi looked to Ling Feng.
Seeing this, Ling Feng took them to a quiet room. What's the matter with you? Just as she finished speaking, Junshi knelt down with a plop. I beg you, save my mother. Seventh Prince, what are you doing? And, isn't your mother dead? Shang Ruai frowned slightly. She remembered clearly that when she read the chronicles of various countries before, it was written that the seventh prince's biological mother died young. How could she still be alive? No, she's just crazy. Junshi said in a low voice. My father saw that she was crazy and wanted to kill her, but she was rescued by my people. But now, she doesn't recognize anyone. You want me to heal her? Yes, the reason why I came to Tianshan is because my people brought news that the trace of Master Lingjun was found in Tianshan. Where is your mother now? Is it the capital of the western regions?
Yes.
Shang Rui nodded. I just happened to be going to the capital to do some things. She took out a porcelain bottle from her arms. Let your men give her one pill in here every day, and I will treat her when I arrive in the capital, but the medical fee. Don't worry about the medical fee. How can I not worry? You, a prince, come to me to steal. If you can't pay the medical fee, you can exchange it with other things.
Yunzi nodded without hesitation. Okay.
When Shang Ruai heard him say that, a triumphant smile flashed across her eyes. Remember what you said now, if you regret it in the future. She curled the corners of her lips slightly. I don't think you can be tougher than a tiger.
Yunzi smiled.
A man's knees are made of gold, not to mention that he is a prince. But now, as long as he can save his mother, he can even give up the dignity of a prince. What else can't he let go? Ever since he knew that she was Prince Lingjun, Junshi's attitude towards her became more respectful. Even Ling Feng found it a little strange. Although the seventh prince was not favored by the Emperor of Xiling, he was also a prince of a country. Why did he treat her so differently? Young master. Qian Jinyan stepped forward and handed him an envelope. The seventh prince's mother is still alive. Alive? Rather than saying she's alive, it's better to say she's a living dead. Qian Jinyan coughed. She sleeps day and night, and occasionally wakes up in a crazy state. So that's it. Ling Feng looked at the content of the letter. So the seventh prince wanted Shang Ruai to treat his mother. But he was Shang Ruai's bodyguard before he knew she was the Lingjun genius doctor. A prince being her bodyguard, this matter is probably not as simple as it seems on the surface. How could it be so coincidental? Or did the seventh prince know Shang Ruai's identity from the beginning?
Her identity.
Prince Ding's wife. At this moment, Shang Ruai's voice came over. Shopkeeper Qian, long time no see. Qian Jinyan turned around quickly and said with a bow, Master Lingjun. Shang Ruai smiled. Shopkeeper Qian, are you okay? Thank you for your concern. Ling Feng stepped forward and said to Shang Ruai, please ask Master Lingjun to detoxify him.
Why?
Shang Ruai sneered. When he led the army from southern Xinjiang into the country, he almost made the people of Qingzhou pay the price for his stupidity. How can he atone for his sins if he doesn't suffer a little? Can the souls of those who died in this war rest in peace? She looked at Qian Jinyan and saw that his back was bent. She said without any pity, Manager Qian, after so many years, I have no objection to you avenging your family, but you need to know who to seek revenge on, instead of thinking that the whole world owes you. Your daughter was killed by Emperor Tianshan and the people he sent, so you should go to Emperor Tianshan for revenge, and no one will stop you. Don't let your own selfish desires drag the whole world to be buried with your family. Qian Jinyan nodded, without saying a word. You lost your daughter. Do you know how many people in Qingzhou have been implicated this time? Your daughter died, but what about their daughter? You can still survive without your daughter, but what about those young children who lost their parents? Shang Ruai said coldly. I can give you the antidote, but I will not forgive you, and the people of Qingzhou will not forgive you either. Seeing the look in his eyes, she continued. Don't think about dying to apologize. Only cowards want to die. Your death will not change their lives. You might as well think about doing something for those people to make their lives better. As soon as she finished speaking, Qian Jinyan, who had been lifeless, instantly lit up his eyes.
Do something for them.
Thank you, Dr. Lingjun, for your guidance. His eyes were red and tears welled up in the corners of his eyes. I know what to do. After he finished speaking, he turned and left. Seeing this, Ling Feng couldn't help but smile. I didn't expect that you could mobilize his spirit with just a few words. Ever since Qian Jinyan found out that the targets of their revenge for so many years were wrong, he almost collapsed. Shang Rui pouted. I'm not helping you, nor am I helping him. I just saw that you should have a lot of money in Chiu Villa, so take it to help the people of the world. Thank you. Shang Rui ignored him, waved her hand, turned and left. After they all left, Junshi walked out from the dark, her eyes fixed on the direction Shang Rui left. She was worthy of being the princess of Prince Ding, and she was really a woman who cared about the world. Master. A voice appeared from behind him. Junshi frowned. Didn't I tell you not to follow me? Your subordinate is still worried. What is there to worry about? This is the territory of Chiu Villa, who dares to cause trouble here. He said coldly, don't ruin this prince's good deeds. Junshi saw that there was no one around, so he walked towards his room. After he left, Shang Rui, who had clearly walked a long way just now, slowly walked out of the space. This Junshi really had other purposes. He dared to treat her as prey, which really gave him face. Now who is the hunter and who is the prey is still unknown. The auction will be held the next day. Shang Rui was dressed in men's clothes and did not wear a mask. Divine Dr. Lingjun, why are you dressed like this today?
Hey.
Shang Rui tapped her palm with the fan. Don't call me Divine Dr. Lingjun today. I'm not wearing a mask and I don't want people to know my identity. You can just call me Rujuan. Rujuan Lingjun, there's not much difference. Junshi said with a smile. Then thank you for your guidance, Master Rujuan. Mr. Yi, do you want to go with me?
No.
Mr. Yi shook his head. Don't call me an old man for such a thing that costs money. If you're going to kill people, I'd still be interested. Shang Rui smiled. Senior, if you come across something you like, I can pay for it. Really? The old man's eyes flashed. The old man has a high vision. He doesn't look down on ordinary things, and the ones he likes must be very valuable. Shang Rui nodded. A gentleman's word is as good as gold. Okay. They walked into the auction hall with the token of Chiu Villa. This auction hall is much larger than Bailing's. TSK, just look at this gate. You know it must be full of treasures inside. Old Ji rubbed his hands. Looking at so many treasures that I can't take. The old man's hands are itching. Shang Rui couldn't help but smile when she heard it. Old Ji, you told me that you were the #1 killer in southern Xinjiang. Is it true? Of course it's true. But look at you, something doesn't seem right. What's wrong? Now it seems that you are not the #1 killer, but the #1 thief. Everyone couldn't help laughing when they heard it. How can you talk like that, little kid? Yi Lao's face turned red, and he said with his eyes wide open, I am the #1 killer. Okay. Shang Rui saw that he was about to get angry, and hurriedly said, the #1 killer, the #1 killer. I just robbed the person after killing him. Shang Rui nodded seriously. I don't know if I killed him first or because I liked his things, I killed him for money. Yi Lao glared at her, knowing that he couldn't win the argument, so he didn't want to argue with her. Ling Feng walked in front and couldn't help but curl her lips slightly. Her ability to be venomous was still unmatched. At this moment, a waiter stepped forward and said respectfully, Dear guests, do you want to sit at the open table on the first floor or in the private room upstairs? Junshi whispered. Of course, it's a private room. Now the private rooms on the 3rd floor are full, and only a few are left on the 2nd floor. Ling Feng frowned slightly. The rooms on the 2nd floor are very small. How can we sit with so many people? I'm really sorry, there are really not enough rooms right now. The waiter's attitude was very good, and Shang Rui didn't want to embarrass him anymore. At this moment, there was a commotion at the door. A man was surrounded by people and walked in. The head of the Qiao family. It's the Qiao family. Shang Rui looked over and saw that it was indeed the head of the Qiao family. It's just that when she treated him, he was already emaciated. How could he be as energetic as he is today? Head of the Qiao family, the room on the 3rd floor has been prepared a long time ago. please come in. The head of the Qiao family did not move, and his eyes fell on Shang Ruoi and his group. To be precise, it fell on Shang Ruoi. This person gave him a feeling of familiarity, as if he had seen him somewhere before. Master Qiao? A waiter called him again. Please move to the 3rd floor. Master Qiao then retracted his gaze and walked upstairs. Ling Feng whispered in her ear, "Ever since you cured him, the Qiao family seems to have been reborn, and it is even more powerful than before. Now the Qiao family's industry can be said to be spread all over the western regions." Shang Ruoi nodded. The wife of the Qiao family is not an ordinary person. The Qiao family will only become more and more prosperous. As soon as the voice fell, a beautiful woman walked at the end and entered the room of Master Qiao in full view of everyone. Hiss.
This.
Shang Ruoi narrowed her eyes slightly. Could this woman be the concubine of Master Qiao? Not long after, the woman walked out of the room with a hint of anger on her face. TSK, TSK, TSK. It seems that love is unrequited. Shang Ruoi retracted her gaze, and the waiter hurriedly explained. Dear guests, the Qiao family's room was booked a long time ago. No problem. She took out a purse and threw it into his hand. Room on the 2nd floor, lead the way. Seeing this, the waiter's eyes lit up, and his tone became more respectful. Please go upstairs. As soon as they arrived on the 2nd floor, the 1st floor suddenly became quiet. A handsome middle-aged man walked into the hall. As soon as he came in, the owner of the auction house came up to him. Your Highness, I pay my respects to your Highness. The man was Jun Ko, the king of Western Region City. Shang Ruoi's footsteps suddenly stopped. Prince? The prince of the Western Region? Seeing her eyes fall on Jun Ko, Ling Feng stepped forward and whispered, This is the king of Western Region City. It was indeed him. The moment she saw him, Shang Ruoi had a sense of destiny, a feeling of kinship and blood. Your Majesty, please follow me. Your room is on the 4th floor. The king of the city nodded, and his eyes looked around. At this moment, his eyes froze instantly. He couldn't believe that there were people who looked so similar in this world. Your Majesty? He waved his hand, and the owner of the auction house shut up instantly. He walked quickly to the 2nd floor, and everyone in the auction house followed his figure. Seeing this, Junshi thought to himself that it was not good. The emperor's uncle must have recognized him. The emperor's uncle had a bad temper. If he found out that he had left the imperial city privately to attend this auction, he would definitely deal with him. Seeing that the figure was getting closer and closer to him, he had no way to hide, so he had to bite the bullet and look at him with a fearless attitude. Just when he thought he was doomed this time, the figure brushed his shoulder and walked past, and finally stopped in front of Shang Ruoi. You, what's your name?
Yum kæres as cert af Shang Ruoi.
Junior Rujuan, meet the prince. Rujuan? He frowned and whispered, Do you have parents? Shang Ruoi smiled. What are you talking about, prince? I have parents, otherwise how could I have popped out of in the stone? As soon as she finished speaking, she heard gasps from all directions of the auction hall. This little brother is asking for his life. He actually said that to the city king. It's over, it's over. This little brother won't live long. I guess he's going to fly down from the 2nd floor. Tut tut tut. Why offend the city king when there are so many people to offend? The people of the western regions are very respectful and afraid of the city king. Not only are the people afraid, even June, she doesn't dare to be presumptuous in front of him. He can ignore anyone, but the people in the city king's mansion are an exception. He respects everyone in the city king's mansion, except Jun Luoyun. When facing Jun Ziqian, they were even more careful. Everyone knew that the Prince of City was even more sinister than his father. Some people from other places who didn't know much about the Prince of City's mansion whispered, Is your Prince of City so scary? Sho, keep your voice down. Don't let the prince hear you. They hurriedly said, When the prince gets angry, millions of people will die. This is not just a casual remark. Just when everyone thought that the handsome young master on the 2nd floor would be thrown down by the Prince of City, their usually serious Prince of City suddenly laughed. It's over, it's over. The prince must be very angry. This little brother is going to be beaten to death. Seeing this, She was ready to stand in front of her. After all, his mother still needed her treatment. Then the king of city stopped laughing, looked at Shang Ruai and said, "You young boy, you are really fearless. Your Highness, you are too kind." Shang Ruai said lightly, "Junior just likes to speak his mind." "You are so frank." The king of city nodded. "I like your personality." "Thank you, Your Highness, for your kindness." No one expected that he would say this. "Where are your parents from?" "Your Highness, from Biling." "People from Biling." The light in the king of city's eyes dimmed, as if he was not giving up, and continued to ask, "Where is Biling?" "The Leaf family of Biling." She smiled and said, "My mother is the legitimate daughter of the Leaf family, and my father passed away early." Seeing that she reported her family background so clearly, all hopes were shattered. He sighed and whispered, "I have made a mistake." Shang Ruai smiled and said, "There are so many people who look alike in this world. It is normal for your majesty to make a mistake." He nodded and turned to leave. At this moment, his eyes fell on Shi behind him. He frowned and was about to scold him, but when he thought that the child was probably with him, he just glared at him and left. Shi wiped the sweat from his head, patted his chest, and said, "It was a close call. It was really scary." "The city king is scary?" "More than that." Shi hurriedly said, "Do you know what the city king's status is in the western regions?" "What status?" "Second to the emperor, and above 10,000 people." The seventh prince looked at his back and whispered, "Although I am a prince, I am a grandson in front of my uncle." Shang Ruai smiled. "There is a generation difference." The king of city just walked to the fourth floor when he heard a crisp voice, "Father." A pink figure ran up, put her arms around him, and said coquettishly, "Father, why don't you wait for me?" Luoyan looked at the people around him, and when he saw the envious look in their eyes when they looked at him, he raised his chin slightly, feeling very proud. Shang Ruai looked at her peacock-like demeanor and couldn't help but sneer. "TSK, TSK, TSK." The seventh prince sighed. "I have to say, Luoyan is really lucky. She was just a nobody, but now she has transformed herself into one of the most noble women in the western regions."
"Lucky. Of course."
The seventh prince said hurriedly, "From an orphan to the jewel in the crown of the city prince's mansion. With the city prince's mansion, her marriage in the future will be first class." Shang Ruai nodded. "That seems to make sense." She glanced at it for a few times, smiled, and said, "Some things belong to whoever they belong to, and they can't be snatched or taken away." After she finished speaking, she walked straight into the room. Luoyan saw a familiar figure in her peripheral vision. When her eyes fell on her, Shang Ruai had already turned and left. Luoyan frowned slightly and didn't remember who the back figure was. Ever since the city prince heard Jun Ziqian talk about Luoyan, he didn't like her a little. She pulled her arm out and whispered, "Since you're here, let's go in." Luoyan tightened the handkerchief in her hand, her face unchanged, and followed him in. It's said that Princess Luoyan of the city prince's mansion is favored. Today it's true. Yes. The prince always brings the princess to the auction. I really don't know what good things Princess Luoyan did in her previous life to have such a great blessing. Did you see the way the prince looked at her just now? At this time, a person looked at the box on the second floor and whispered, "I think the prince is quite special to that little brother just now." "What nonsense are you talking about? Didn't you hear what the prince said just now? You recognized the wrong person. Do you think everyone can be like Princess Luoyan?" They spoke in a low voice, but Shang Ruai had extraordinary hearing, and all their words fell into her ears. She curled her lips and drank the tea in the cup. The seventh prince beside him was still talking about how extraordinary the city prince was. "My uncle has another son, Jun Ziqian, who is the prince of the city palace. I think he will be more powerful than my uncle in the future." "What do you mean?" Shang Ruai looked at him. "Why did I hear that the prince of the city palace has a very kind personality?"
"Kind?"
"You said he is kind?" The seventh prince exclaimed. "Where did you get this hearsay? If Jun Ziqian is kind, there would be no killing gods in this world." He thought for a while, then smiled. Speaking of killing gods, you Tian also have one, and that is the Prince of the Ding Palace. Shang Ruai narrowed her eyes and nodded. That's fair to say. Jun Ziqian defeated the top 10 masters of our western regions by himself. If anyone angers him, it will be difficult for him to survive. He shook his head. Among so many brothers and sisters in the royal family, the one I fear the most is him. As for Jun Luoyan, even if she wears a phoenix feather dress, it is difficult to hide her sparrow temperament. Old Yi looked at Shang Ruai and said lightly, "Speaking of that Princess Luoyan, why do I feel that you two are somewhat similar?" Jun Shi blinked, looked at Shang Ruai, his eyes widened. If Old Yi hadn't said it, this prince really wouldn't have noticed it. Now it seems that you two are really somewhat similar. Or she looks more like Jun Ziqian. Didn't the king of city just say that? He recognized the wrong person. Ling Feng smiled. How many people in this world look alike? Hearing this, the seventh prince nodded. Jun Luoyun is where she is today because of this face. He sighed. If we talk about infatuation, our Shiling royal family only has my uncle. Before the auction started, the seventh prince told the story of the love-hate relationship between the king of city and the mysterious princess. So, you have never seen that woman? No, and I don't know why. The emperor's uncle hid it so well. It was not until a few years later that news came out that the princess was missing. From then on, the emperor's uncle seemed to have lost his soul. He spent a few years in a daze. The emperor's uncle adopted Jun Luoyun, and he seemed to be much better, but after so many years, whenever he saw a similar figure, he would chase after her. Upon hearing this, Shang Ruai nodded and said indifferently, "She is barely an infatuated one." After hearing what he said, Shang Ruai couldn't help but feel a little confused. Since the king of city had done this, why did her mother insist on leaving and marry that Shang Mian as a concubine? At this moment, there was a noise from the audience, and dozens of maids were seen holding luminous pearls and placing them around the venue. The first floor suddenly became bright. This auction house is really generous. Such good knight-shining pearls will cost tens of thousands of taels each. Old Ye's eyes lit up. These knight-shining pearls alone will be sold for millions of taels. It's really a big deal. Haha, Old Ye doesn't know. Ling Feng smiled. Those who can come to the auction here are all people of extremely high status. How can they be interested in ordinary things? Naturally, they will not steal, so the auction house is very confident in taking these out. Moreover, the auction house is surrounded by highly skilled guards. If anyone makes any unusual movements, they will be arrested before they succeed. Shang Ruai nodded. There are at least 200 guards around this auction house, and dozens of them have extremely high internal strength. She said lightly, "It's really not a simple thing to steal things from here alive." Hearing this, Old Yi curled his lips. There is nothing that this old man can't take away. Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly, and the corners of her lips curled up. She said it. This old man is not the #1 killer in southern Xinjiang at all. He is clearly the #1 thief. Which killer would talk so much like him? At this moment, a very beautiful and enchanting woman with exotic looks walked onto the stage. Dear guests, welcome to the auction house. I am Wan Qing, and I will be in charge of tonight's auction. She shook the bell in her hand. The sound of the bell was extremely special, as if it had some magic that could calm people's hearts instantly. Today there are 30 lots, each of which is extremely precious. She waved her jade hand lightly, and a maid came forward with a herb on the tray. Shang Ruai glanced at the herb. What's so precious about it? It's just the most common detoxification herb, and she grabbed a handful of it in her space. This is a detoxification herb that can only grow in extremely cold places. It can detoxify all kinds of poisons. It is the favorite herb of the divine doctor. It is called crane grass. The starting price is 100 taels. This kind of herb is not useful to ordinary people. It can only be effective if it is made into pills or boiled. Many medical families came today, so this herb is very popular. 150 taels. 180 taels. 190 taels. The voices of bidding were endless. Jun Luoyun sat on the 4th floor, looking at the herb, and a bright color flashed across his eyes. "Father, I want this herb." The city king waved his hand, and the guards behind him walked outside and whispered, 500 taels. 500 taels. Everyone couldn't help but make an uproar. Although this herb is rare, it is not worth 500 taels. 300 taels is already the limit. I heard that Princess Luoyun is not only beautiful, but also has great medical skills. I guess this herb must have been given to the princess by the prince. According to the love that the city king has for Princess Luoyun, what is this little bit of silver? Shang Ruoyu raised her eyebrows when she heard this. Her biological father was really good to Jun Luoyun's adopted daughter. 500 taels. Is there anyone who can offer a higher price? Jun Luoyun raised his chin slightly. This herb must be his. 500 taels once, 500 taels twice, 500 taels. Before he finished speaking, a lazy voice came from the second floor, 501 taels.
Puff.
How much? 501 taels? This targeting is too obvious. Who doesn't know that the person sitting in the room on the fourth floor is the city king? The guest in the room who just raised the price is the one that the city prince mistook for someone earlier, right? It seems so. Everyone's eyes fell on that room. The seventh prince in the room was already sweating profusely. He said in horror, "Are you crazy? Are you trying to steal something from my uncle?" Shang Ruoyu shrugged disapprovingly. "I like that herb too. Why, is it not okay?" "Okay, but you have to know who you are stealing from." "I know." Shang Ruoyu smiled. If others can't bid for something that the city prince likes, then what's the point of holding this auction? Is it to let us see the financial resources of the city prince's mansion? Or to see how favored a certain princess in the city prince's mansion is? If that's the case, then this auction house should not be auctioning things, but should be setting up a stage to perform a play, letting the people of the world see how much the city prince loves that adopted daughter. Shang Ruoyu didn't deliberately lower her voice. The sound insulation in the room was not very good, so her words were basically heard by everyone. At this moment, everyone in the venue was stunned. No one thought that someone would be so bold as to say such a treasonous word. Setting up a stage to perform a play? Isn't this a blatant insult? Jun Luoyun sat in the room, her face livid. Adopted daughter. These are the two words she hates the most. She is obviously the most favored princess in the city prince's mansion. Why add the word adopted daughter? Father, someone actually said that it is clear that they don't take our city prince's mansion seriously. She said angrily. Father, you must not let her go. The city prince raised his eyebrows slightly. It has been a long time since someone said that. Normally, he should be angry, but for some reason, he couldn't get angry. There is nothing wrong with what she said. This auction is for people to compete fairly. The highest bidder wins. If you want it, just raise the price. Jun Luoyun said coldly. 800 taels. Shang Ruoyu smiled and half lying on the soft couch. 801 taels.
Hiss.
Targeted.
Targeting.
1,000 taels. 1,001 taels. Shang Ruoyu took a bite of dessert and said lightly. The seventh prince next to her had silently moved his chair farther away, fearing that the emperor's uncle would rush in and hurt innocent people. She was so bold that she dared to challenge the emperor's uncle. Wasn't she afraid that the emperor's uncle would get angry and slap her to death? Jun Luoyun was so angry that he jumped to his feet, clenched his fists tightly, and said in a deep voice, Father, this person did it on purpose. Yes. King Qing nodded. The brat must have done it on purpose. He agreed with her, but he was not angry at all in his heart. He even thought her behavior was very interesting. Seeing that he just agreed casually and had no intention of getting angry, Jun Luoyun could not help but say in a cold voice, Father, this man is so rude. He doesn't take our Qingyang mansion seriously at all. This is in the Western regions. Disrespecting you is disrespecting the Western region's royal family, which is a capital crime. I just said that this is an auction house. If you like it, just increase the price. It's not like our palace can't afford such a small amount of money. Jun Luoyun clenched his fists, looked at the herb, and said loudly, 2,000 taels. 2,000 taels. A thing worth only 300 taels was auctioned at a high price of 2,000 taels. Everyone couldn't help but be amazed. Wan Qing on the high platform was very happy. The first lot sold so well. It was really a great sign. When Shang Ruai heard the figure of 2,000 taels, she whispered, "Your uncle is really willing to spend it. His adopted daughter is also a daughter, so he is willing to spend it." Shang Ruai smiled and said, "Since the princess likes it, I won't compete with you." Jun Luoyun heard her say that, and a smile of victory appeared on his face. "You are not worthy of competing with this princess." Not long after, a maid brought the herbs into the room. Jun Luoyun looked at the herbs and felt very satisfied. Shang Ruai looked at the next item with an indifferent look. "Why don't you bid anymore?" The seventh prince asked in a low voice. "You are a doctor. Don't you need the detoxifying herbs? This crane grass is different from other herbs. Other herbs can be preserved after being air-dried, but this crane grass is not the same. This crane grass must be picked fresh to be used as medicine. Those air-dried ones, such as the one Jun Luoyun bid today, have no medicinal value." When the seventh prince heard this, he said in surprise, "You know that air-dried ones have no medicinal value. Why do you still bid?" "I like it. I have a lot of money. Is it not okay?" After hearing what she said, the seventh prince dared not say anything more. He only prayed that if he really angered the emperor's uncle later, he would not be beaten together with him when he was beaten. The next few items were all auctioned at a good price. Wan Qing was very happy, and his eyes fell on Shang Ruai's private room from time to time. "Why does this thing look familiar?" Ling Feng watched a maid walk up to the platform. On the tray in her hand was a brocade box with a sheepskin map inside. Shang Ruai's pupils shrank slightly. "Isn't this part of the treasure map?" Ling Feng frowned. In his impression, he must have seen it somewhere before, but now he can't remember it at all. Shang Ruai sat up straight, staring at the map. No matter what, she had to get the map. Wan Qing looked at the people in the audience and whispered, "This is a fragment of a map. Our people have studied it for a long time, but because there are no markings on it, we don't know what secrets are behind this map. But a map made of such material must not be an ordinary item." At this moment, someone in the audience sneered. "There are at least 800 of these maps on the ghost market, and they are all used to swindle people. I thought there would be no such low-level problems in your auction, but now it seems that's it." "That's right. You still have the nerve to auction this map. It's really laughable." Wan Qing listened to their discussions without getting angry, and the smile on her face did not change. "Everyone, please be patient." She picked up the map and burned it with fire, but the map did not change at all. "This map has been soaked in a special potion. It is said that 1 inch of this sheepskin is worth 1,000 gold coins, and this potion is a lost skill from the previous dynasty." Wan Qing smiled. Everyone should know that the current countries were divided from the previous dynasty. It is said that there was an extremely rich treasure scattered in the world from the previous dynasty. I wonder if it is related to this map. The starting price of this map is 10,000 taels. Wan Qing's eyes fell on the audience. She thought that everyone would be excited about this fragment and would compete to bid for it. Unexpectedly, they remained indifferent, and no one raised the price. Jun Luoyun looked at the map and sneered. "Does this auction think we are fools? 10,000 taels to bid for such a fake." She looked at the city king beside her. "Father, this auction is really boring. They actually use such a waste to fool you." The city king did not speak. His eyes fell on the sheepskin map, and he did not come back to his senses for a long time. He had seen such a map before in her box. Seeing that no one raised the price, Wan Qing was a little puzzled. At this time, an old man smiled and said, "It's just a fragment. What you said is just a rumor. If there is a treasure from the previous dynasty, how come this map has never appeared in the world? This is a fragment, so where are the other fragments?" Wan Qing frowned slightly. This map is of no use at all. It's just a gimmick." The seventh prince looked at the stage, smiled, and said, 10,000 taels is not a small amount. How could there be a fool to buy such a waste? The smile on his face didn't last long, and he heard a voice in his ear, 10,001 taels. The tea in his mouth sprayed out before he could swallow it. Are you crazy? He said in disbelief. This map I have seen many times. It is just a toy to deceive children. Shang Ruai glanced at him. What do you know? When she looked at the fragment of the map, even the space trembled. She gathered energy in her eyes, and her originally lazy body suddenly stiffened. I saw a picture suddenly appeared on the map, and I saw a cave full of gold, silver, jewelry, rare treasures and stones, and some pictures were blurry and unclear. This treasure map must be real. Now there are 2 pieces in the space, and this one is put together, there will be 3 pieces. As long as one more piece is found, we can know where the treasure is. The 7th prince looked at her and said softly, Could it be that this treasure is real? Ling Feng's eyes were cold, and many pictures emerged in his mind, but he couldn't piece them together. But he was sure that he must have seen this map somewhere before. Wan Qing's face, which was originally a little ugly, suddenly became better after hearing Shang Ruai's voice. Jun Luoyun in the room on the 4th floor sneered. That person is really weird. He raises the price by 1 tael each time. It's really ridiculous. Now he bids for a piece of trash and will definitely be laughed at. At this time, the city king next to him whispered, 110,000 taels. Father. Jun Luoyun exclaimed, Father, why did you buy this useless fake? Do you also believe in the existence of treasure? The king of city shook his head, his eyes fixed on the sheepskin map on the tray. What treasure? I don't care at all. What he really cares about is the people related to this map. His eyes fell on the room on the 2nd floor. The voice was from that little brother, and the king of city's eyes darkened slightly. They look similar, and now she is interested in this map. What is her relationship with Jar? Shang Ruai frowned slightly. Is she, as a father, venting his anger for his adopted daughter? She thought so, and Jun Luoyun thought so even more. The father must have wanted to seek justice for her, because he had just been embarrassed by that person. Father, you don't have to do this. Jun Luoyun thought she was understanding and said, My daughter doesn't feel wronged, but was bullied by that blind man. I guess that man doesn't look down on our palace, but thinks that my daughter is not my father's biological daughter, but an adopted daughter, so he despises her. Yeah. The city king nodded casually, without listening to what she just said. Hearing his response, Jun Luoyun's confidence increased. Father is really venting for me. Jun Luoyun looked at the room on the 2nd floor with contempt with a triumphant smile on his face. Fighting with their city palace is digging your own grave. 120,000 taels, Shang Ruai said in a low voice. 150,000 taels. Shang Ruai frowned, squinted her eyes and looked at the 4th floor, and a sense of grievance surged in her heart. The 7th prince sat aside, and he didn't dare to breathe. I just said that only a fool would bid for this map, and now not only the ancestor next to me has bid, but also the uncle upstairs has participated in the auction. I say, Divine Dr. Ling Jun, you'd better not raise the price anymore. That's the city king. Going against my uncle will not end well. Who will end up badly is still unknown. You. The 7th prince sighed. This is the western region, the city king's territory. Shang Ruai looked at him calmly. Nonsense. How could it be the city king's territory? What about you? Aren't you a prince of the western region? If the city king pursues it, I will say that it was you, the 7th prince, who wanted it, right? After all, you are your uncle, who can really kill you. After she finished speaking, she shouted to the audience, 200,000 taels. Hiss. Who is this guy? How did he come into conflict with the city king's mansion? You want to kill me? The 7th prince stood up from his seat, who said, He won't really kill me. If you touch something he really cares about, let alone me, he would dare to kill my father. His words made Shang Ruai's eyes dim. An adopted daughter, is she so important? Seeing that she was unmoved, the 7th prince walked out quickly and went straight to the 4th floor. Seeing this, the guards on the 4th floor hurriedly came up to him. 7th prince. I want to see the emperor's uncle. Let me report.
Come in.
The voice of the king of city came over. Hearing this, the 7th prince hurried in. The moment he opened the door, the king of city's eyes met Shang Ruai again. He couldn't help but be shocked. How could this look be so familiar? Uncle. The seventh prince stepped forward cautiously and bowed. Uncle, please forgive me. My friend is ignorant, and if he has offended me, please don't make it a fuss. The city king glanced at him. What are you doing here? To be honest, your uncle's birthday is coming soon, and I just want to find a decent birthday gift for you. I heard that there is an auction here, so I want to come and see if there is anything worth showing off. I don't want to meet you here. The city king nodded, and his tone was not as sharp as before. Who is the little brother named Rujuan who came with you? Her mother is from the Biling Li family, the imperial merchant who raises Dongzhu. Jun Luoyun sneered when he heard this. Imperial merchant, so what? He is just a businessman. He dares to be an enemy of the city king's mansion. He is simply impatient to live. The seventh prince ignored her, but looked at his uncle cautiously. The girl from the Li family. That's right. Forget it. Go back and tell her that this map is something that I must have.
Yes.
The seventh prince walked back hesitantly. Determined to have. Why did he feel that Shang Ruai was also determined to have this map? Sure enough, after the city king raised the price to 250,000 taels, Shang Ruai raised the price to 300,000 taels. Hiss. She's risking her life. She's really risking her life. The seventh prince wanted to leave the auction house immediately, so that his uncle wouldn't accidentally hurt him when he came to kill people. All right, that's enough. Don't raise the price anymore. If he raised the price again, his head would be gone. Seeing her perseverance, Jun Luoyun felt a sense of relief in his heart. If you wanted something from her, you must be prepared to sacrifice your life. An imperial merchant, who just relies on a few silver coins in his family, doesn't take the city prince's mansion seriously. What's the point of keeping such a person, father? Upon hearing this, the city prince frowned. Luoyun is always good-tempered?
How could he say such a thing?
My daughter just doesn't like her behavior. At this moment, there was a commotion at the door. Jun Luoyun's eyes lit up. Father, it's my brother. Jun Ziqian walked slowly into the venue. This is the city prince's son. He is really a dragon and phoenix in the world, handsome and elegant. I think that little brother is in danger. Now not only the city prince and the princess are here, but even the prince is here. It can be seen how favored Princess Luoyun is. Even the city prince has come to support her. Upon hearing this, Jun Luoyun's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. So, what if she is an adopted daughter? She is the princess of the city prince's mansion, who is truly the center of attention. Father, your daughter will go to greet my brother. Shang Ruai stood by the window, lowering her eyes to look at Jun Ziqian, who happened to look up in her direction. Jun Ziqian's lips curled up slightly, with a doting smile on his face. Coincidentally, Jun Luoyun was also in this direction, and she couldn't help but be flattered. Did her brother just smile at her? She stepped forward quickly, pretending to hold his arm. Brother. Jun Ziqian came back to his senses. His eyes fell on her face, and the smile on the corner of his lips disappeared instantly. What are you doing here? His voice was not loud, but the people sitting nearby heard it clearly. Jun Luoyun's hand stopped in midair. His face suddenly became ugly, and he whispered, Father asked me to pick you up. Jun Ziqian didn't wait for her to finish. He walked past her and went straight to the stairs. It seems that the prince doesn't like Princess Luoyun as much as the rumors say. But the prince clearly smiled just now. That's true. Seeing that everyone's attention was on Jun Ziqian, Wan Qing on the stage hurriedly said, Dear guests, the map has been bid for 300,000 taels. Is there anyone who wants to add more? The city king said coldly, 400,000 taels. 400,001 taels. The seventh prince wanted to go up and cover her mouth. Big sister. Ancestors. You don't want to live, but he still wants to live. The king of city was already a little angry at this time. He clenched his fists, and just when he was about to shout out the price of 500,000 taels, he heard Jun Ziqian say indifferently, Father, don't raise the price anymore. Jun Luoyun walked in and heard his words. She felt a little dissatisfied in her heart, but she didn't dare to say it out loud. She walked up to Jun Ziqian and said, Brother, this is my fault. It was that person who made things difficult for me before, and Father couldn't bear to see me being bullied, so Do you know who this map belongs to? The king of city whispered, with this map, we may be able to find some clues. Jun Zigan shook his head. Father, believe me. Jun Luoyun listened to the words of the father and son, and her heart sank. Could it be that the map my father took is really useful? Not because of yourself. In the room on the second floor, the seventh prince kept saying, believe me, don't go against my uncle. You adding 1 or 2 taels is clearly a provocation. How could the city prince's mansion be short of your 1 or 2 taels of silver? Shang Ruai played with a teacup in her hand. The city prince doesn't lack that 1 or 2 taels of silver, and I don't lack those hundreds of thousands of taels of silver. He is determined to get it, and I will not give in. At this moment, Jun Zigan's voice was heard from the 4th floor. We, the city prince's mansion, withdraw from the bidding for this map. The 7th prince wanted to persuade him again, but when he heard him say that, he was stunned and it took him a long time to find his voice. You really lack that 1 or 2 taels of silver. Shang Ruai smiled. Now that her brother was here, she knew that the map would be hers. The people in the audience were also a little confused.